Okay, good evening. Welcome to America's Third Party. I'm David Sponheim, running for President of the United States in 2016. Yeah, this is quite a week we've been digesting. Looking back on the past week, something major happened. It may be more major to some than others, but Justice Scalia died with a pillow over his head, and no one did an autopsy on him. It's unparalleled in American justice for a justice to not even have an autopsy when he's found with a pillow over his head. And I must say, there has been no reveal of his body. He had a closed casket. So it's more than likely they're covering something up. This is the telltale sign of a cover-up. All right. Weird encounters like that occurring in our justice system or not occurring in our justice system have been happening for some time, and many people have been witness to this. Looking deeply into the internet, they actually have been asking questions, wondering where the proof is of any event. And many of you who actually are looking for proof of the shootings in San Bernardino can't find it. And there's issues about just general proof dating back all the way to Sandy Hook and what happened with Adam Lanza. Lack of evidence is the overwhelming impression that people are getting. That tells a bigger story. Even as far back as 9/11, when the inside job occurred, this is clearly a cover-up, because the 9/11 Commission did not even reveal that there were detonations in buildings going on, that these buildings were being demolished, much like any building which is filled with explosives. That's obviously the reason why Building 7 went down. A plane can't hit something as well and knock it down. There's been no structure whatsoever in history that's ever been knocked down because of a plane, except for supposedly the trade centers. So I believe that at this point, after all these years of discussing 9/11, and we'll talk about it tomorrow as well on Truth Tuesday, I believe that it was an inside job, and I'm more than willing to commit to that fact. Whereas Donald Trump will not. Donald Trump merely implied that the Bush didn't find WMDs in Iraq, therefore he created an unnecessary war. There's no reference to 9/11 being an inside job in his reference to Jeb Bush. So it clearly shows me that if Donald Trump cannot commit to 9/11 being an inside job, or even the question of it being an inside job, then there's clearly a big, huge problem with Donald Trump. He's covering for his backers that got him cleared past 4 corporate bankruptcies, and that would be the Fed, the very institution, private corporation or conglomerate of corporations. The governors of these banks are controlling our nation, and they're also the kind of people that give lots of money to Donald Trump to bail him out. So he's covering for them, and covering for the very simple fact that 9/11 was a very broad cover-up of a money laundering event that went on right in front of our eyes. One day before 9/11 attack occurred, Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, said that our nation's Pentagon was $2.3 trillion missing. Well, the next day, there was no talk of that. That 2.3 trillion was erased from the books. And now we're looking at a nation that is still asking itself, gee, should we go to a corporate guy and choose a guy who's borrowed money all of his life to lead our nation? When that's exactly been the problem all along, that our nation keeps borrowing money recklessly, expanding credit, and never getting any equity, never getting any solvency. And that brings us to the real problem here, that our two-party system has been controlled literally by outside forces, ruling elitists that are financing control of the Republican and Democratic Party. And they're doing it through super PACs, inside channels of funding that they use to bypass any election laws. They're doing it by padding Hillary's pocket with $2.3 billion to run an election campaign, which is more than double what Obama had. And it makes you wonder if these people are able to finance politics in America. And where should your vote go? If you vote for either Hillary or Donald in this upcoming election, you're basically throwing your vote away. you might as well write my name in, David Sponheim. Because, for one, if we had a paper trail of all of the signatures of everybody that wrote my name in, and I would force a paper trail review, we'd have to have a complete review of all the paper trails, much like the hanging chads in George Bush and Al Gore's election. We could actually slowly win state by state in the after count. So many of you people are asking, what if the whole system is rigged? What if the Diebold voting system is rigged? Well, you write my name in this upcoming election, simply write down David Sponheim, and we'll be able to get enough people through word of mouth to actually force a recount and force the reveal of the real printed information. You cut off your hanging chad? That's cute. You wrote my name in Wisconsin and no votes were counted? Again, this is a long-term thing. We need a large number of people writing my name in. They won't even count in most states until I get 25,000 write-in candidates, write-in signatures. That's a rule that almost every state has. So if we can spread this out virally with word of mouth, advertising, we can bypass the controls that the elitists have over the mainstream media and over various aspects of the blogosphere. All right, so let's just get a feel for the room right now. I think I've done enough talking. Conspiracy Monday has always been an interesting startup for the week, and I'm glad I have it. And it's always been a challenge for me to come up with enough credible information either way to verify or to talk openly about some of these issues. Now, because there's a lack of information, with all these events and terrorist attacks that have happened throughout the past few years, gross lack of information, gross lack of evidence, we don't have a lot to talk about, other than the fact that we're missing information. There's missing evidence, there's no bodies, there's no autopsies, and this recent case with Justice Scalia having no autopsy, being found with a pillow over his head, is almost the icing on the cake for the Americans to get their act together and realize they have to vote in a third party. They have to vote for an honest man for the presidency to bypass the corruption of these greedy corporate people that have turned our nation upside down and enlarged the credit debt of our nation substantially. Bernie Sanders is also into money. He's suing the Democratic Party. That's how into money he is. And I would not trust our country in the hands of a socialist. It's a very dangerous time when a person wants to borrow $19 trillion to finance more government jobs. Now, I support government jobs, but only to trigger the free market, not to just waste your tax dollars. And I'm not going to waste your tax dollars to create those government jobs. We're going to do it by creating payback, a looping capital, getting the government to get a return on investment, which is central to our concept of hybrid capitalism, which we support. And there's a book about that on our website. All right, so if you're getting interested in backing what we're doing, I'm going to urge you to go to our website, AmericasThirdParty.com. And by the way, if you're having any problems seeing the video, you can always go here as well, and you can always see the video and get into the Vaughn chat room. But on our website now, AmericasThirdParty.com, you have the voter revolt poster. You can download this and print it up for $1 to $2. It's that simple. This little poster cost me $1. It's printed on cardstock with color, and you can get one 11 by 17 for $1.88 at OfficeMax. Just right-click the image on the website, this image I have here, save it to your hard drive, and email it to OfficeMax, Office Depot, or Staples. And then simply say print up, and they print it right up, and then you tape it to some cardboard, put some tape around it, and you got yourself a sign for under $2. This is the only way we're going to be able to pull this off, is the grassroots nature of the internet mixed with word of mouth advertising, mixed with you pushing our advertising right in front of people. I would put this in the back of my car if I didn't want to make a big deal. And I don't really know if you want to make a big deal in your community about how you want to support an alternative view. If you're afraid of being a nonconformist, then of course you don't want to put anything in your window. But you can also put these anywhere with a little stick attached to them. Roadsides, freeway overpasses. I'm scaling this down to like $2. Okay, Obama cracks a Scalia death joke. Oh my God. See what I mean?
Like me, some of you might be in the final year of your last term, working as hard as you can to get as much done as possible for the folks that you represent. Fixing roads, educating our children, helping people retrain, appointing judges, the usual stuff. Judges, train, appointing judges, the usual stuff.
Is that the death joke? It was at the, because I really can't stand, I'm getting nauseous just looking at him. I'll look at that later. I know. Yeah. Appointing judges, making light of what he's doing. Wow. Yeah, and socialists will kill the opposition, but we're offering more than the socialists can offer. Ironically, we're giving everybody a chance to get at least a roof over their head. The socialists won't even do that. Well, I'm not sure if that was the entire joke. I haven't heard the whole thing yet. But getting a roof over our head is something I really strongly believe we shouldn't have homeless people in this country. There's no reason for it. Socialists don't usually address that issue. My hybrid capitalist solutions will address that issue. In fact, our book talks about it. And by the way, you can get our book if you go down here. And by the way, if you want to have any problem with getting into the capacity servers, you can see our show right here. You can see that being broadcast, telecast. This is one way to do it. Just go to America's Third Party and you can still talk in the chat. But right here is our store, and we sell our book, Hybrid Capitalism, there. And it's only 99 cents to download now. So that's a big, big plus. Whoop. That's weird. Well, I guess we got a little problem here. We'll figure out what's going on here. Interesting. Okay, I'll get her on it. The store is unavailable right now. We're not sure why. Ceiling art and smoking room. Interesting. Did not know that they had ceiling art and smoking room. That's special. See what kind of weird links we get in our show. It's kind of funny. But here's what our book looks like. And you should be able to download it soon. I'm just amazed that link is dead. We'll take a look and see what happened to it. They're snuffing out the judges, I know. It's serious. But the book is about 200 pages, and it deals with starting all kinds of new solutions for America's economy to jumpstart and get going and build a free market, but also let the government compete in the free market. All right, cool. Well, one of the things you can do is stay inside. Somebody said, how can we protect ourselves from chemtrails? And I say stay inside. Avoid a lot of outside air. Get home filters that you can buy for about $50 at local box stores. They're called HEPA filters. I'm not wearing a wig. This is my real hair. Colt died? Oh no. Veteran Von Castor Colt has passed away, everybody. Wow. I remember Colt when he came in our room in the early days. Well, you have to spend money to breathe in this day and age. No, this is my hair, man. Believe me, if it was a wig, you wouldn't be able to do that and see my scalp. I can even reveal parts of my scalp, so. Wow, so Colt died. Wow, I'm so sorry. Did he or did he? I don't know. I mean, I can't. No, it's not a weave. It's my hair. What the hell's wrong with people? Michelle Obama gets reporter fired for comparing her to an ape. Well, that's good. No one should be compared to an ape. Michelle Obama came through with her big move here. Good for her. Yeah, no reporter should be allowed to compare Michelle to an ape. That's wrong. It's just not appropriate. We got to get away from this racial hostility. I don't have any racial hostility toward Barack Obama or Michelle. I don't even care that Michelle may be a transgender. There's a conspiracy theory that suggests that she's a transgender. But, yeah, it's freedom of speech. But at the same time, I don't believe that the reporter should show such a lack of finesse. You know, reporters are supposed to be objective. Calling a presidential first lady or first transgender, or first tranny, whatever, is something that you really want to be a little bit more delicate when referring to the first tranny. Show more respect, you know. Don't take it to the racist level. I think that's wrong. But yes, you're right. It is protected under freedom of speech. But his job isn't. His job is not protected under freedom of speech. Ironically, journalists are fired every day around the world for speaking the truth or what they claim is the truth. Or, in this case, a racial slur. Yeah, well, a lot of people don't like Michelle. And I really could care less whether she's a tranny or not. But be delicate in racial matters, because we don't need that to divide us right now. We need to unite the country. And I'm not a divider, I'm a uniter. People would argue that my blackface impersonation of Barack Obama was racist, but I don't think it was racist. I think that we've grown past the old days when they considered that a racist slur. The fact is, I couldn't have done an impersonation of Barack Obama if I hadn't done it in blackface. No, this is my hair, man. I've been trying to tell you people, this is how the hair works. It's called follicles that grow. I'm not promoting revolt. I'm promoting a voter revolt, which is not a violent revolt. It's simply getting you on the ballot to write my name in as David Sponheim. Let me add that to the text. I don't think you're quite getting the whole. This is one way to bypass the incredibly corrupt two-party system that we have here, where some people are saying that the Diebold voting system has been rigged. I just told them, hey, if we have a write-in a candidacy and over 25,000 people in any one state are writing my name in, they are required by law to count those write-in votes. Now, many states say they won't even count them until I reach 25,000. I'm not high at all. I did take an antihistamine last night, and it was some sort of well, I don't even know what it was, frankly. It's Alka-Seltzer cold medicine, a half of one of those things that kind of fizz in the bottle. I had a 2-day flu. I was telling people in the pre-show about this. I had a 2-day flu that was so bizarre. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid in the 60s, colds were always preceded by a very bad sore throat. And I haven't had a sore throat with any of these colds for years. It's strange. And I'm checking other people say the same thing. Back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, we used to get sore throats, but now they're just going right into our respiratory system immediately. Now, in this particular cold, I told Sarah, I said, for 3 days, I feel great. It was like, no, it's just a cold. It's a kind of cold where you feel a little bit weird in your chest, but it's not a big deal. And I thought oh, this is great. This is the lightest cold I've ever had. And then, boom, 2 days in bed with my mouth, or my whole, everything was just leaking tears, and it was terrible. Have you ever had that feeling you want to sneeze and can't? Well, that happened to me about 30 times in the past 2 days. And whenever it happened, I would have, tears dripping from my eyes. It's just terrible. I'm not happy with the idea that our government is able to modify viruses. Protein synthesis has been going on since the 1990s, and they have the ability to create an Ebola or a rabies Ebola hybrid, and they're doing it right now. The CDC is developing a rabies Ebola hybrid vaccine. Now, you can imagine how well received that's going to be when already people around the country are waking up to the dangers of vaccines. And there's this deadly component in vaccines. Many people have found this out, nagalase. Holistic doctors have been concerned, and they've been telling their followers on the internet about this, and now they're dying. 15 holistic doctors have died in the recent years. Past year and a half, 15 holistic doctors have died. Holistic doctors are doctors that are broad spectrum doctors that deal with your health, nutrition, as well as medicine. But let me see if I can pull that up. A wave of holistic deaths have increased. Check this out from Natural News. Hello, Sarah. Good evening. Sarah is here. Let me get everything out of the way.
Yes, so go take a break because it really hasn't been 2 days. You should spend 2 days in bed, but
I know.
instead you're here doing the show.
I know.
So, you really should just go back to bed for a little bit.
Well, I'm going to rest in the other room, but I'll be back to do the show. I've committed to doing the show, so. Oh, that's funny.
Good. Hi, Master Meatball. Thank you.
Sarah can talk to you about everything going on in her life and
Yeah, I go take
whatnot.
that.
Thank you for listening, folks.
I don't think you should do much exercise when you have a cold.
I'm just going to lay down for a while.
I agree. You should do that. He should lay down for a while. That's going to make him feel a little bit better. Hello, 146. Absolutely. I'm priceless, 626, so it doesn't matter how much money you offer. I can't be bought. No, I'm not under the influence of any drugs. Really? That's probably because I had them cleaned, 640, but not recently. I have another cleaning in a little bit over a month. No, $11 billion. No, sorry. 11D isn't even a word. 11 billion would be it, but no, not even that much. Well, maybe 771 and 756 should hook up.
I'm going to clean the mouse off with rubbing
I've
alcohol.
got a mouse over here. You
Okay.
didn't touch this one, did you?
I might have.
Thank you very much. I will try my best, 640.
This is always good precaution to rub off, any germs that.
I haven't worn dresses for a while.
Thank you.
Usually I like some... I do have a really nice tight-fitting dress, but I usually don't wear it. Oh, thank you, Admiral. Well, 633, that is the maximum we can take in donations. So the basic platform, we're fiscally conservative and socially liberal. So we don't want the government to spend a lot of money. However, we do believe in taking care of the constituents, the American people. Yeah, maybe when it warms up, 164. What are my thoughts on the clothing sales going on right now? I have enough clothes to keep myself basically clothes, warm, and looking good. So I think that once you're an adult, you kind of adopt your own style. And I have clothes that go with all of that. So I'm not really looking at sales because I think that once you reach a point that you have everything you need and maybe a little bit of what you want, you don't need to buy much more. No, I don't have any stilettos, but I do have a pair of pumps. No thanks, Master Meatball.
I wanted to show you something here.
They'll say we are in favor of prevention and education. But just wait, it's loading.
Okay. It wasn't
I think
coming in
so.
unless. Yes.
I don't know, maybe it's not loading, but
Let's see what it comes to, because it had a problem getting into the store. Yep, that's what came up. Just wanted to make you aware of that. It's just a reality that. Let me clear this off for you.
okay, well, can you do /store? You could do that. Well, here, I was going to use that mouse.
Yeah, you can.
I
do,
was going
you can
to
do it
use
now.
that
Go ahead.
mouse.
You got it. I just cleaned it off with rubbing alcohol. All right. Sorry.
Okay, I mean, we have 2 mice, so we can each use one. No, 272, I don't support that. Well, I'm glad you're... Okay, I'll have to look. Goodness. I don't know what to do. Maybe I should update something, which I really don't want to do this. Here, I don't know, it worked for me. Maybe it was just taking a little too long. Not that I know of, Time Violet, but I don't really check that. I don't think so, JPF. What are the symptoms of that other than birth defects? Here's what I would say, Mythen Joseph. I believe in a lethal electric fence along the southern border. I believe in enforcing the laws of anyone hiring people that are illegally in our country. And I believe that welfare should only be given to U.S. citizens. Let's start there. And we could do it in reverse order. If we stopped giving welfare to anyone except for U.S. citizens, there's a lot of people who will leave this country. I'm not against any particular race. I'm talking about all U.S. citizens, regardless of race. I'm not any particular... I don't believe I need to answer that question, 272. How so? I'm talking about people who come here from Poland, people who come here from Israel, people who come here from Canada. So, what are you talking about? No, I'm talking about anyone who's in this country and isn't a citizen. That's what I'm talking about, 771. Oh, certain states don't allow write-ins, that's true. However, 652, if that's the case, you can petition to get David on the ballot in your state. I don't think it really matters, 272. No, I'm not. I never said that, 771. So you can make sure your vote counts by actually getting David on the ballot in your state. That's how you can do that. Some businesses are making a lot of money, that's true. Yes, both of us did run locally. Well, then... So, Uber saw no red flags in a Kalamazoo shooting. There's a alleged shooting spree by an Uber driver in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's, of course, bringing up fresh questions about whether that Uber is doing enough to keep its riders safe. Some people think that the crimes that are committed by Uber drivers, Uber should not be held responsible. I think if they're passing a background check, maybe they need to do a little bit deeper background check if it's possible. But someone can, not have any issues in the past and then suddenly go a little bit go off like this person did. I'm all kinds of friendly. All right. I'm not in favor of giving illegal immigrants I'm in favor of only giving U.S. citizens welfare. No, I don't believe so, Larry. So, in the months leading up, so there's a narrow focus that might aid the FBI in the Apple case. I wonder if they were able to actually unlock one phone. Oh, why do you think that, Time Pilot? I think we're still continuing on. Ha 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 ha. Okay. You can call me anything you want, 272. You're in favor of getting rid of welfare completely. You think it will encourage a revolution and change. I think that it is time to rethink our society. I would be in favor of reforming welfare. I definitely would be in favor of that. I think I would be in favor of changing the way our country works. That's what I would say. With our country, what I personally would like to see is a plan to focus back on the basics. So that means to focus on water first, which, as you may know, we have an ocean pipeline plan. Desalinate the ocean and make some fresh drinking water for people. We can even use certain ocean water to grow more vegetables that will help people. So water, second is food. And also, I do want to speak to water. We need to make sure that our current water infrastructure is well maintained and taken care of. So that means things like our infrastructure, especially like pipes in Flint, Michigan. Pipes not only in Flint, Michigan, but Flint, Michigan and the westward. We need to make sure that we have information about when those were last updated and test them for any possible upgrades as well. The other thing I would like to say is, let me just log into this one. The next thing would be food, and this one. Correct. Okay, so with food, we have an essential food program that we would like to do. And so with essential foods, we would like to make sure that farmers can get paid for growing things, not paid just because they have a farm and for not growing things. So we want to make sure that that goes to farmers that are actually growing. And then also allow people to have a closed loop system. So we want to also look at, in order to grow things, we need to have good soil. And so we need to have possible more vermicomposting and composting across the country. I'm not that. I will say that, 159. That is not my religion. No, the chat has broken for some people, but you can always get into our chat at AmericasThirdParty.com. I'm just getting into that chat right now. I'm working on getting into it. Let me try one more. Okay, I'll let David do it when he comes back. He's not good at that. All right. You can call me anything you want, 159, except for the other thing that you just said, which I don't. No, I don't. I will say, I believe in good. How about that? I believe in good. I believe in light. I believe in spreading good and light to all of you. Whatever that is. So, positive energy. That's what I believe in. If you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty of what I believe in. So I just said what I believe in. I'll leave it at that. All right, so I was talking about the essential food program, and with that, we would like to make sure we have good compost to actually grow good food. We want to encourage farmers to have food. We want to make sure that we have a seed repository. So if farmers actually need to order seed, they can always have access to seed that they can grow. We want to go away from genetically modified organisms. We're not in favor of GMOs here at America's Third Party. So we also, David would like to have, with an essential food program, a program that can, whenever possible, offer fresh, make sure we bring fresh food to everywhere. And if that's not possible, make sure we can make some frozen food and even frozen entrees as well. I look okay to you? Okay. And then, so that's our water, food, that's the basics, I would say, with essential food and our ocean pipeline system. We also want to, of course, the next thing I would say when we're talking about basics is, of course, housing. And so with housing, we actually have a homestead renewal plan. And a homestead renewal plan is where people can invest there's really 3 things that you need to solve the housing crisis: land, lumber, labor. You can add a 4th, love, if you so choose. I try to give all of you love whenever possible. But land, lumber, and labor can solve the housing issues. Yes, I'm enjoying my life so much. I hope you are too. I hope you're here for a reason, 988, and I'm glad that you're here and you're spending every moment of your life the best way that you can. Now, when we're talking about land, there's so much land out there that, in fact, much of the land in the western United States is federal land. And one of the things that I would like to get away from is having so much of our dependence on the privatized sector. So I want to talk about, there's 3 things when you're related. Well, there's a few different situations that are related to housing. I mean, the jail system that we have, they provide, as they say, 3 hots and a cot. They provide actual housing to people, And yet that system is the majority of that system is privatized. It's run by private corporations. I don't believe that our prison system should be run by private corporations. I believe that in so doing, I think that it encourages the private prison system to actually expand. And I think that really we need to go back to public prisons and try to minimize the number of public prisons. But I think, of course, we have to keep the U.S. citizens safe. And so, yes, that is where some prisons come into place. But I believe that if more people had housing options and more, if they felt more comfortable in their neighborhoods and they felt like they had a reason to live, they wouldn't, or they had a reason to abide by the laws and that life was great, they wouldn't feel the need to actually violate laws or endanger themselves or others. Speaking of law, I personally think that that's really what it comes down to, is when someone is making a decision, it's only when it's endangering themselves or others really that it comes into an issue for me. I personally do believe in personal freedom and the ability for people to make decisions if it's not hurting someone else and it's only hurting even that endangering themselves. I think that's kind of a personal issue, and if people choose to take risks in their life, they should definitely do that. I was talking about housing. So I believe in housing. With housing, I believe that we can have actual people invest the labor, learn a trade, learn construction, learn how to maintain a home by actually building up homes and renovating existing homes. I believe that will help our housing issues. So I talked a little bit earlier about water. I talked about food. I believe in housing. The next one that I believe is definitely a basic requirement is healthcare. And I think that we have a lot to work on with our healthcare reform issues. Because the thing is that if people aren't healthy, they can't work and be productive. They can't, they have a difficult time going to school and learning. So we have to go back and look at our healthcare issues for sure. No, this is not a filibuster, but I am so I will respond to chat if I see what you're talking about. Sorry. Well, you can ask me questions, and if I deem that your question is worth responding to, I will respond to that question. If I don't deem that it's worth responding to, I will continue to talk about what I believe in for our political future. That is a possibility, 806, but I would say that having the people actually build the housing themselves. I'm not talking about the prisoners building the housing. I'm talking about the people who actually want to live in the houses. They're the ones that would be building a house. So if you wanted a house to live in, you could come and help the government actually build up houses. Well, yeah, 159. Just go back and read the Constitution, especially the ending of Article 6. All right, enjoy that. I would love if our prisons were at the point where we weren't needing them to house the prison population so that homeless people could live in that housing and in those situations. I'm not saying that we should imprison homeless people, but if we had facilities for them to come into and live, that's what I believe in increasing the number of housing opportunities will actually, thank you 167, I think increasing the number of housing opportunities will lower the prison population. When people feel that they have a good life, have a future, that they won't feel like they need to violate any law. I'm not hiding anything, JPF. I simply believe in the Constitution. That's what I believe in. The Constitution. Well, I don't necessarily think that's true, 565. I think that we can have both. I believe in a baseline plus society. One of the problems with our welfare system currently is that people in our welfare system aren't motivated to go out and work because our welfare system is based on your income. So there are people that I've heard of that are receiving welfare that choose to not work because if they work, they'd make too much money to qualify for benefits, for healthcare specifically. And so that's why one of the things, healthcare is so vitally important, and we definitely need to change that.
Totally.
I will not implement Sharia law.
No.
I believe in the law of the Constitution of the United States. I believe in the United States law. I believe in each state making their own laws, and I believe that in that order, the primary law is the Constitution of the United States. Under that is federal law. Under that is state law. Under that is city law. And I believe that you have to comply with all of those laws. And I don't believe that Sharia law would meet any of the laws that we currently have in place in the United States of America.
So true. All our laws would supersede anything you'd ever have in a religious world. And if people want to...
Thank you. County is before city. You're right. Go ahead.
If people want to engage voluntarily in the rules of their religion that don't involve hurting people, because in Sharia law, men are allowed to kill their wives if they look at another man.
And that would violate
that's
the
homicide.
Constitution.
Yeah. So our laws are strictly written to not be infected by religious thought and religious dogma. And we have a clear separation of church and state. And Sarah and I are concerned that maybe they haven't gone far enough, because recently the Supreme Court ruled that states that offer marriage contracts have to give them to same-sex couples. Now,
I don't have
a problem with same-sex couples getting married.
With that issue.
Right.
I would say that if a state doesn't like that, they could go to what I think, which is, why should the government be involved in people's personal relationships? The state easily could choose to not issue any marriage contracts and say, well, if people want to have a legal contract that's not a marriage contract, they can go to a lawyer and have a partnership agreement. That's something that lawyers can work out between the people. But why should the government be involved in people's personal relationships when it comes to issues of marriage? I'll even say, and love.
Okay, we're going to ask you not to make false statements here. We're not going to in any way take money from super PACs, like APAC. We haven't received any money from super PACs, so don't run around telling. And I won't take any money from Monsanto. I will not take money from Monsanto, ever. I'm not looking to get corporations to endorse me. If you guys want to run a separate campaign, that's your choice, whoever you are. The Citizens United ruling allows corporations to actually promote or run a hate campaign against any candidate that they want. That was a recent ruling at Citizens United, and I'm against Citizens United, the Supreme Court ruling that gave corporations the same status as an individual, which is crazy. We've never ever done a rerun on our show. All our shows are original and live, every one of them. Every show is not a repeat. Every show it goes on. I've done combined, Sarah and I have done at least 2,000 plus shows, lasting all the way back to 2008. We've done it back-to-back, day-to-day, 3 to 5 hour shows for the past 7 years. There's no two people more committed to the American people than we are, and we've proven it already. We've already broken all records in terms of live broadcasting on a regular routine basis than any other political group out there and any other political candidate. So you got to understand, this is a real effort to reach out to the American people and form a compromise in the center of the political spectrum. That's the truth. And we have great ideas for the country to help solve the water, air crisis, the clean air crisis, without taxing you. The Democrats want cap and trade and carbon point legislation. We don't want that. We want to innovate, but we don't want to bill the American taxpayer. And we're going to be able to do it by getting a return on investment from our operations in the government. We're going to shrink government and at the same time make it more effective. All right, so being Donald has borrowed at least 6 of my ideas. I actually congratulated him the other day in uprooting the Bush dynasty. So at least with my ideas, Donald has effectively uprooted the Bush dynasty, and that's a good thing because we didn't need to deal with that. But when it becomes painfully obvious that these are my ideas that he's been using, it will become a kind of a question that the media will have to ask: why aren't we giving this man, David Sponheim, some time in the mainstream media? Eventually that question will be asked. And when it does, it's all we need to get a foot in the door and get this nation to look at a third party as a realistic choice. All right. Thank you. So Sarah, I want to thank you for giving me some time here. I've queued up I'm good for a while. I've queued up Netflix so you can enjoy your show.
Okay.
And just relax and enjoy yourself. Thank you.
All right. I'm working on it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. No, you would definitely be looking at a Sponheim candidacy as president. I don't think I could live in the shadow of a man who took my ideas. But I would consider it if he wanted to call me on the phone. Because we do share common ideas. Obviously, he agrees with me on a lot of issues. I would like to see Donald Trump come out and question the idea that 9/11 was an inside job. He never made those statements. He's skirting the issue. And I said earlier, I believe 9/11 was a money laundering event. And being he was in New York, he would know that. But he doesn't seem to talk about that, which is a little bit concerning me. I had a cold, a 2-day cold that was just really bad. I wouldn't doubt he's talking about the blimp plane, but you're just joking. No, we are growing. In fact, our numbers are increasing in the rooms that we're broadcasting on, all of our different networks. And don't say that we're not growing, because we are. Yeah. And you're not recognizing the fact that we've been censored in both the mainstream media and on the internet. I don't like girls. Actually, I do like Girl Scout cookies, to be honest, but I just don't think they're good for my waistline. I'm sorry. They're pretty tasty, I must say. I mean, I've had a couple of them. We've been growing for 8 years, yeah. Our numbers are increasing radically. We've got people coming into the chat rooms who are getting turned away because of capacity servers. That's how much growth we have here. And by the way, if you're having to avert that problem in the future, just go directly to our website. Yeah, just go directly to the AmericasThirdParty.com website, and you'll have your servers up and running. Your video servers won't be clogged, and you'll still be able to track the Bond chat and other chat rooms. Monsanto lobbyists never got any. I won't take any money from Monsanto, and you won't get any messages back. Yeah. And I'm not a supporter of Dow or Monsanto or any mega corporations that in any way pollute our environment without addressing the issue of the environment itself. Now, I have an idea that Monsanto and Dow could work toward a better, more integrated approach toward pest management than sticking glyphosate all over the nation, which has been known and proven to cause tumors in laboratory animals. I don't think that's the way to approach pest control or growing vegetables that we're eating. I'm against GMOs. No other candidate seems to be against GMOs, ironically. I'm the only candidate out there who's fighting to stop this radiation problem over in Japan. And working with Shinzo Abe would be one of my goals, to get a plan to cap those reactors and stop them from leaching water irradiated water into the Pacific Ocean at a rapid rate. 6 swimming pools a day of water that's irradiated are leaching into the Pacific Ocean from the facility. I'm the only candidate that's talking about pulling fluoride out of all of our water systems, municipal water systems. 70% of our water systems have high levels of fluoride, 4 parts per million, which is a known neurotoxin. There is no reason why our population should be doused with fluoride. There's no proof that it actually prevents cavities when it's in our water system. There's not one scientific study that can verify that. I'm actually in favor of freedom of all kinds. No individual mandates is a concept I created. And the idea of no individual mandates, it bypasses all the Democrats and Republicans' approach toward what we're looking at for the future. Oh, I'm not trying to become an American Hitler. In fact, Donald Trump, I got to get this thing out there because this is pretty important. I put together 10 reasons why you should not vote for Trump in the upcoming election. And here is our list of reasons. Now, there may be more than 10 right now, but I'm going to cull it to 10. 10 reasons not to vote for Trump. Now, this is not in any way an endorsement of Hillary, because I'm going to have 10 reasons not to vote for Hillary coming up next week. Yeah. No, I will not endorse either one. We're building a third party for a reason. We cannot possibly waste our vote on the two parties after the atrocities of Bush and now Obama. Yeah, this is our link library. And if you don't want to look at just this link, you can look at any other link and you can check it out. Trump's ex-wife kept a book of Hitler's speeches by... Trump says, basically Ivana said in a deposition that Trump kept a book of Hitler's speeches by his bed. Anne Frank's stepsister compared Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. Donald Trump, there's another one about his book. Donald Trump's sons kill exotic animals. That's another good one. Donald Trump says Muslims should be forced to wear special ID badges. That's a clear and gross violation of our freedom of speech, guaranteed freedom of religion under our First Amendment. Yeah. So there's a lot of links there, all of which you can take a look at your leisure. Thank you. Well, the courses will be available at community colleges to become a working plumber. That's something we'll offer. That'll be like a 6-week to 6-month certification program. Plumbers are very much in need in every area. I have a show on Vaughn, but that's not mainstream media attention, guess 159. We haven't given away ATP merchandise lately. When we first started, we were giving away things, but we haven't lately. Sarah is not Jewish, no. Neither one of us is Jewish. Plumbers can make $100,000 easy in your area because people need plumbing work done constantly. I knew a plumber in my area that I used to have him as a client when I did advertising. And he went on to lose his business. He had a sporting goods business. And he said, you know, I think I'm going to go back to what I used to do. And I remember him telling me that. And I said, yeah, go for it. He had a journeyman plumber's license. And he went ahead and started his plumbing business. And he's one of the top plumbers in the area now where I live. So yeah, it's amazing how much money you can make operating as a plumber. And you can hire more people too. Sarah is not agnostic. We both believe in God, but in fact, that's one of the reasons why she chose me. She actually asked me, I just want to make sure that the guy I'm, spending time with believes in God. And believe it or not, that was one of the big issues for her when I first met her. Sarah's not religious, though. She was raised religious. I was raised in a Catholic church. She was raised in a Christian church. But we don't push religion on you, and I don't judge you if you're an atheist. I don't have a problem with it. You believing whatever you want. I believe in freedom, individual freedom. A lot of interesting truths about fluoride, folks. Thank you, Scissor Fight. In 1955, Crest became the first fluoride toothpaste. You'll notice that fluoride increased, too, at a rapid rate all the way through the 70s and 80s in all the toothpaste brands. There's only a few now that you can buy that don't have fluoride in them. And that same increase has been matched by autism, ADHD, countless other. Now, I don't know if there's a connection, but I can tell you there is a connection between a neurotoxin and behavioral disorders. So I know that there is a definite connection between neurotoxins and behavioral disorders. Fluoride calcifies the pineal gland, otherwise known as your third eye, which literally has rods and cones, just like your other eyes. Fluoride is so toxic that it's considered hazardous waste by the EPA, and now called a neurotoxin by the scientific community. Hitler fluoridated water in the concentration camps to sedate the prisoners. There may be evidence that Hitler used it in the water systems of the German people as well, just to lower their concern about what was happening, like the death of all those ethnic minorities. This is not a negative show. This is very positive. We're building an argument that the two-party system has been completely collapsed and in the process of being collapsed by the truth. And when we talk about things that are negative, we're trying to bring up the truth. And it's really our arsenal, our only arsenal, to challenge what appears to be an overtaking censored media and a veritable two-party system that's literally hijacking our political process. I'm 55. I'm old enough to become president of the United States. You'd only have to be 35 to become president of the United States. Sarah is over 35. She's 38 now. So all of this is possible. I have solutions for all the things that I've talked about. Let me explain. I will be pulling fluoride out of our water system, and I will be sending out test kits to various people who request them from the executive branch so I can independently test your water in your area to verify that they are indeed getting rid of the fluoride. That's something I will delegate a certain amount of money just to determine if there is indeed a need to pull more fluoride out of your area. I'm totally in touch with the problems of America. In fact, the job market is clearly in need of a rehabilitation, and let me give you our source for rehabilitation. We actually see our homestead renewal plan as being a huge success. Let me just show you some of my ideas briefly that will demonstrate how we have clear solutions to the problems facing the country, and the Democrats, Republicans don't have any. Let's start with what I just said, the homestead renewal plan. All right, here we go. This is a plan that could very well go viral, and every city could have their houses renovated that are currently in disrepair and provide plenty of jobs. And I don't need congressional support to do this. I can actually implement it through the existing HUD program called the HOME program. And there's enough revenue right there. There's $4 billion to start the program right now. We've got other viral job opportunities and renewable energy solutions like this vertical windmill that could be installed on all of our telephone poles around the country. This is a unique idea I came up with in 2008 that would be only $1,000 for each unit, but would provide instantaneously more energy to our grid. That's one of the cool ideas. Let me talk about our mobile medical units. That's one of our good ideas as well. To bypass the healthcare system, we actually have a plan to put mobile medical units like this one right here in every city in America. I'm anticipating about 200 initially. And I believe in God. I have a personal relationship with the Lord. Thank you. But I welcome atheists to our room, folks. I'm not in any way trying to drive atheists away. Yeah, we're not here to judge you for your religion or spirituality. There's no reason to do that. This will be, the mobile medical unit will be also no congressional requirements. I don't have to pass this by Congress. We'll be implementing this at the VA facilities. And I'll be using a portion of the existing Superfund from 2007 to operate on. I only need about $2 billion to create 200 units initially at $5 million apiece and operate them for 1 year. 200 units at $5 million per MMU. I've never had a problem with anything to do with with implementing this idea, because it is, the president has the authority to command the military. Thank you. And we'll be able to implement jobs. We also have a 6-week to 6-month education program in mind for the American people. It'll be a certification plan. Bernie Sanders, his whole plan that he talks about giving everybody a 4-year education is absurd. I ran the numbers and it would cost $7 trillion. But we do want you to get a job that'll get you an immediate $25 an hour, $20 to $25 an hour in the private sector. And we will partner up with the private sector when we do the certification programs in community colleges around the country. I should have a tie giveaway day. You're right. That would be good promotions. Problem is I only have about 15 ties and I wouldn't be able to wear them if I gave them away. I had a dream about bringing Connie back on the show, actually. It was kind of funny you should say that. In the worst part of my flu last night, when my brain was like fried from just a head cold, I was completely, it was almost delirious. And I was imagining her on the show again. But no, I haven't had my sister on the show for a long, long time because of the problems that we've had with disputing things in front of the camera where I don't even know what she's going to say. I mean, I can't even predict what she's going to say. So it was a problem for us. And I decided that she wouldn't be a good part of this show. No, I don't know. Maybe it was guilt. I don't know. I'm being frank here. I'm never sick. I haven't been sick in a long, long time. When I was a kid, I was sick a lot. You're welcome. I'm glad I could stream for you. And don't forget, we have an online political chat show all the way to 2 in the morning. Right here on Vaughn. I would never hit a woman. I was taught at a young age never to hit women. My father never hit women, and he taught me that. It's a law to live by for any of you guys. In fact, you shouldn't hit anybody. If you really want to avoid problems in your life, you really shouldn't go around hitting people. You'd think that would be intuitive. My sister's doing really well. I just talked to her today on the phone. The fact is, my sister and I have always argued ever since we were kids. We grew up in an arguing family. What you saw on that show was a day in the life of the Sponheim family when I was growing up. Yeah, it wasn't my nature to argue when I was a kid. I was a very quiet child. And I got to tell you, when you grow up in a family which is verbally aggressive, you become verbally aggressive. Well, it was a show that I have ownership of this show. I can tell anyone that they can and can't come on the show. If you were to call me right now on our phone number, 707-YOUR-ATP, which is live during our show, I would filter the call and decide whether you're, worth having on the show. So I have a choice to have people on the show. And in this case, I told her that it wasn't working out. All I'm saying is I don't know what family hasn't had arguments in this country. It's a normal process. And for all of you to be hung up on political correctness is really kind of a problem. Everybody's real in my life. And many of you have been led to believe that Obama is real and he's not. I don't treat women at all poorly. I actually, I've never met a woman I didn't like. Well, there's that one biker, but whatever. She didn't really do anything, but I've never censored anything at all. And like I said, anything demoralizing will be removed from the show. Yeah. If you're running a hate campaign against me, I will purge you. I don't consider that censorship. I will always let you talk about the issues and bring about the important things that the issues evoke. Well, you can call it verbal assault when I vehemently disagree with somebody. I don't consider it verbal assault. That's a subjective opinion. No, it's not that truth hurts. It's that I don't like anyone demoralizing people because that's the tool that the mainstream media is using. Just like you're accusing somebody of being gay. That's demoralization. Accusing a heterosexual man of being gay is a real slam. It's sexual harassment is what it is. And you're in violation of sexual harassment if you do that. Guess 159? No. 1 million people in America know who I am. And I've spent 7 years establishing that. Unfortunately, that's through the blogosphere and word of mouth. But I can tell you that what we're doing on a daily basis, the persistence that we've engaged in, is the key to getting through the wall of censorship that has been created by the ruling elite. The mainstream media is completely controlled by powerful moneyed interests, and we've been able to navigate a way around the obstacle of censorship, and I put this whole ball in motion about 8 years ago. Yes, we have reached out to at least 1 million people, and we haven't spent a penny doing it. So you're already looking at an amazing testimony to perseverance and the endless desire for Americans to get truth and freedom back on track in America, to get this country to actually respond well to the truth. We've had to actually go out of our way to expose certain lies that our government is currently involved in. Okay. Just checking on something here. Okay. Okay, now is when I put my sunglasses on because I'm getting a little bit of that. My eye starts to water because I'm still on the tail end of a 2-day cold that was really bad. The audible sound of the mouse are not necessary. I can X out of that. Thank you. That's my opinion about that. No, you won't be getting any free rectal exams unless they're posing a problem there. Yeah, I'm sure if you're bleeding from the rectum like Andrew Getty, you probably would get a free rectal checkup at the mobile medical unit. Andrew Getty, by the way, had no checkup. Here's a guy worth over $2 billion. $2.3 billion. He didn't get any help whatsoever, which is kind of bizarre, I think. I just don't know how a person worth $2 billion could not get a doctor to look at his rectal problem. Yeah, Andrew Getty. You know who I'm talking about? This guy. Now, it's weird, he had a restraining order against his wife. Wow, that's weird. He had a restraining order against his wife. Okay. 2 weeks before his ex-wife, he was getting a divorce. 2 weeks before he had that restraining order against her, and then he dies. I mean, that's a telltale sign of a potential problem. Just like recently with this the situation with Justice Scalia, who died with a pillow over his head and his arms laid over his body like he was in state, and his sheets were completely unruffled. And the government didn't even do an investigation. You know what that means, don't you? They're just literally taunting the American people, saying, hey, see how completely powerless you are? Yeah, this was clearly a murder, in my opinion. No autopsy, no investigation. His protective detail, we don't know anything about that. I believe it was murder. He was posed in that position. That's right, JPF. I don't see how any of you could not assume there's a serious question here. That alone we should find agreement on here. All I can tell you is the telltale signs of a murder has occurred. And many investigators have also agreed. The experts have piped in, detectives have piped in and talked about Justice Scalia actually being murdered. Let's see, the odd parallels. Let's see, I've got a couple here. Here's top conspiracy theories regarding Justice Scalia. Day by day, oh sweet Lord. What happened to him is a real mystery. He was visiting one of his enemies, who he never really served that person. It never had any decision that was in favor of Poindexter. Poindexter invites him to his Cibola Creek Lodge for free. Poindexter meets with Obama the night before, yet that story is being suppressed. And if you're having a problem getting online, just go to our website, AmericasThirdParty.com, and you'll see the video stream coming in fine. If you're having capacity server issues here at this particular site, you can just go to our site, America's Third Party, which also features the Vaughn chat on it. Okay? Okay, so we're looking at the 10 big top conspiracy theories about Justice Scalia. Why did he have a pillow over his head when he was found dead? So one of the major red flags for many people, he'd gone to bed Friday after dinner with friends, telling them that he wasn't feeling well. After not coming to breakfast, Justice was found dead. Was he poisoned? Poison can take out a person. Then they could just pick up his body and place it wherever he wanted. Not feeling well at dinner sounds like he was poisoned. Could have been a slow-acting poison. I would last an entire debate. I can rip Trump apart verbally. Yeah. I've got all kinds of arsenal against Trump. I just showed you the top reasons to not vote for Trump. Go there. Let me just keep posting that in the room. And I'm not even including the fact that he borrowed 6 of my ideas. That's separate. Plus, I'm not even bringing up the helicopter accident that occurred when he had a Resorts International lawsuit and 3 of his top financial advisors died on a helicopter he was going to actually be on but wasn't on. That's a story that never even went out in the mainstream media. No, there's a lot to see. When you die with a pillow over your head after having a heart attack, let me just explain. If you're sitting there like this, laying in bed, and the sheets are not ruffled, and your arms are laid right above you, and you're having a heart attack, your body's going to be going... And there's no way a pillow could be on top of you. It's impossible. You're laying in state, and you're like, you know I'm right. So we clearly have a huge amount of questions about this entire event. Not just that question, but the other questions too that are addressed in our show. We have all these different other issues that popped up. No, this is not a joke. You think it's a joke that I've been running for 7 years, consistently doing a transparent show every night on the internet, talking to the American people? You think that I'm just here to, get a cheap thrill from broadcasting? You realize how serious this is? To call this a joke is a bannable offense, and I'm going to ban you. You've learned your lesson, hopefully. I'm not part of any cover-up. The government is purposely not seeking any investigation into this matter. Antonio Scalia was killed for a variety of reasons, all of which are suspicious. His rulings in court, the fact that he would have been the deciding vote in overturning any decisions in the upcoming election, he would have had the conservative vote. It occurred during a democratically led executive branch. We talked about why did he have a pillow over his head. There's other big questions too. Why did Obama not attend the funeral? Let me remind you that Obama was not playing golf that day, and he has not made it available as to why he did not attend the funeral. Thank you, Cookie. You're so kind to say that. I don't have any need for mental help. I have no mental health problems, no symptoms whatsoever. Why was his cause of death declared by phone? A huge number 2 question mark. No medical advisor ever even looked at him. No, I'm in no way narcissistic. I don't look at myself in the mirror. I'm not obsessed with myself. I reluctantly put my name on the screen so you'd know who to vote for. I'm not into myself. I don't advertise myself like Trump does. And I wouldn't change my Germanic origin name either, like his family did. His family was called Drump. He's a Drump. He's not a Trump. In no way am I trying to become any kind of a dictator. I'm a benevolent person who really does care about the country. And if you don't understand the need for an average American to become president, then you must be a complete imbecile. You actually believe these 1%ers are going to help the 99% of the nation? I mean, you've got to be kidding me. Number 3, why did local officials and his family decline to have an autopsy conducted? And why is Alex Jones on this page here? Now, as local official, let's talk about local officials not asking for an autopsy, but the family had the option. Obama met with, supposedly, the newspaper said he actually met with family members, plural. But in reality, Obama only met with Scalia's son the day after Scalia died. There's only one person from the Scalia family that would even bother to meet Obama, and that was the son, because he's a military officer who's probably ordered. No, Trump, look it up. He was probably ordered to do that. So Obama didn't go to his funeral. He didn't meet with more than one member. His wife didn't meet him, Obama. So what is this really, when you look at it? This is an almost overwhelming and disturbing cover-up, much like a lot of the things that have been happening in this country for some time. I'm not gay. Never have had any desire, but I respect your right to be gay. I do. I don't want to in any way impose any restrictions or discriminatory policies on gays. And I assure you, this whole issue of same-sex marriage will become a non-issue once we clearly finish off what it should have been ruled by the Supreme Court as a separation of church and state. There's no reason why our government should be involved in marriage contracts whatsoever. Try to keep the comments to a all the derogatory comments I will purge. But since you phrased it as if you were, I didn't want to purge that. I'm glad some of you are asking questions. What are my thoughts on free trade? Good question. Thank you. Free trade is a fictitious concept. We don't have free trade. We haven't had free trade in a long time. NAFTA and CAFTA and the Trans-Pacific Partnership are all designed to provide certain corporations advantage. It doesn't in any way open up trade with countries. U.S., Mexico, Canada never profited from NAFTA. And similarly, it's not nations that are profiting, it's corporations that are profiting. And that's a serious problem. I'm not reading. I'm reading off the chat room. Somebody said, "Are you wearing makeup?" Well, in order to do the show, I had to put a little eye makeup on right under here. Right here. My eyes were like death warmed over this morning. I couldn't believe it. I'm not obsessed with censorship. I'm concerned that I've been censored for 7 years and you don't even have a chance to see me in the mainstream media. I'm obsessed with the fact that no average American can get any word out there to talk. I've never craved attention, no. I'm not wearing ugly makeup. Well, the bags are from having a night of hell. And I must remind you, I'm 55 years old. No, I literally was almost bleeding from my eyes. I'm kidding. Not like Trump called Megyn Kelly bleeding from her eyes. But I literally was fighting an unbelievable desire to sneeze all night long. And my eyes were like 30 times I had this sneeze coming on, and then all of a sudden it would be, tearing up. So yeah, I'm basically a person who has unlimited capacity to keep doing this and maintaining a good solid show for you to speak on the issues and talk about the things that are important to you. Now, if you and I have disagreed for various reasons, it doesn't mean I'm going to shut you out on the issues. You can come in and talk about them. No, I'm not high. I've actually been trying to deal with this situation. 2 days of one of the worst flus I've ever had. I can't believe it. I tend to think that we're seeing protein synthesized viruses out there. This is not a hairpiece. This is my real hair. You can even see my scalp underneath it. That's what my hair looks like. Okay, did Obama have Scalia killed so he could fill his Supreme Court seat? Well, modus operandi, right? He has certainly a reason. Absolutely, that's certainly something to consider. Well, let's be clear. Well, rather, let's be unclear. I don't have a teleprompter. Let me bring you another camera. You guys don't understand. I've been doing this for 7 years without a teleprompter. I don't need a teleprompter ever to read. The chat. There's the chat board. This is our touch screen that we use. And then we have a 19-inch monitor for our news stories, which is on screen right now. That's it. There's nothing around here. There's no teleprompter in the background. There's some parasol lights that we have. We've got a green screen back here. It's basically a studio. Thank you. But this is a home studio. You guys can build these things for about $1,500. There's no pre-written script here. Thank you. Well, doing this for 7 years, you get better at it as time goes on. You know, Hunter S. Thompson, the famous author that wrote Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, that you guys may have seen, Johnny Depp's movie. Hunter S. Thompson said, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. And that would describe what this third party is all about. We're so weird that we're willing to ask questions about the truth. We're so weird that we're willing to question a hierarchy of status quo establishment figures that are run and controlled by ruling elitists outside of our country. We're so weird that we're willing to ask the big questions. Why are they fluoridating us when it doesn't lead to less cavities? There's no proof that fluoride in our water system leads to less cavities. Well, we can ask a lot of questions tonight. This is Conspiracy Monday. Minimize the page that showed us the monitor. What? I just showed you. Fluoride has been proven to be a neurotoxin. It's like arsenic and lead and mercury. So for you to say fluoride is good for you, you're saying that it's good to have a neurotoxin? Would you be saying to me that lead was good for you too? There's no proof that fluoride in our water system prevents tooth decay. Not one stitch of proof. If you rub fluoride on your tooth, there could be a study that verifies that it might prevent tooth decay, but there's no evidence in our water it prevents tooth decay. Thank you. Turmeric is good, yeah. Well, if you've accepted fluoride in your body, then you're a complete brain-dead idiot, and you're probably of no value here. And I'm not a fraud. Look, I wouldn't be censored so much if I was a shill for the government. I would have been mentioned in the mainstream media if I was being promoted by the Illuminati or whatever that is. It may be something between nationalists and globalists, but it's not really. Trump is a globalist. Trump is all a part of the global community and the Federal Reserve. Trump financed his corporate bankruptcies with support from money that was garnished from loan extensions. That's how do you think he got all the billions of dollars? It wasn't because he earned it. That wasn't mainstream media exposure. I don't consider a 12-second piece of me of exploiting my blackface video that I did in 2008 any type of mainstream media exposure on the issues. That was a travesty of journalism. The woman asked me, do you think that the blackface video had anything to do with being swatted? I said no, but I never had that response on camera. She never gave me that response. I said absolutely not. She cut 20 to 30 minutes of video edited time, was chopped out down to 12 seconds, where they accused me of being a blackface politician. And it's just absolutely ridiculous what they did. That in no way is any exposure. And I wasn't not expecting to be swatted, believe me. It wasn't something that was a welcome treat. The event was an absolutely deplorable event, which should never happen. Our nation right now is experiencing police brutality as well as an excessive amount of swattings. And that's got to stop. The fact of the matter is, if we don't stop this trend towards swatting, many of you will be swatted in your lifetime. We have the highest percentage per capita of swatting events in the world here in the United States. Well, I'm not going to dispute what what I could or couldn't do. I'm just saying, doing a blackface video is not, in my opinion, a violation of any laws. And I believed it was necessary for me to wear blackface in order to impersonate Barack Obama. There's no way I could have done it. So in 2008, I did a video, which I'm glad I did, because had I not done it there, I wouldn't have even been, you wouldn't even been listening to this show right now. You wouldn't have even known to come in here. Many of you have been directed to come to the show because you've heard about the blackface video. Some of you are in Japan, where I'm a household word in Japan. But I've never been mentioned once in the mainstream media in America. Except, of course, calling me a blackface, whatever. Yeah, so this is a video that I came up with because I felt it was necessary, and I did another one in 2014, a follow-up called Blackface 2 on YouTube. And if you want to watch those, I'll be glad to give you the link, but it's a good way to check our hit counter out. It's completely locked down. I'll show you what that is. It's a compelling story that I talked about too. Every one of my videos had a lot of messages. I prophesized problems in the world. I talked about the future of a bad president who's a flim-flam artist and a liar, which is exactly what Barack Obama is. Hello? Sarah has a phone. Let me show you these videos. I'm going to give you a link to my personal YouTube site. You'll notice how they're locked in place. One of them is locked at 2,666 views right there. I went to college at UCLA, which I was very unhappy with UCLA. It was not a good school. No, I've never been a liar in my life. I don't lie as a rule. UCLA, in my opinion, is a Marxist academic school, which focuses on Marxism. The higher number of Marxists within their administration has been well noted. Many people have made comments about the UC system and the number of Marxists that are there. I had a conflict with the political science department there at that university and two others back in 1978 and 1988. I'm not jealous of anybody with an academic degree. I don't need an academic degree. I have an IQ of 185. There's no need for me to be indoctrinated. I'm a free thinker. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running for president, because the only way you're going to get out of this situation is if you got a person with ideas. After voting for Obama, it should be painfully obvious to you that he didn't have any ideas. He borrowed from Marxists. He borrowed from even Ted Kennedy's healthcare plan. The guy that wrote Obamacare, over 66% of Obamacare was written in prison by a guy serving a prison sentence for tax evasion. I don't need a moderator. I'm trying to give people as much information as I can and allow people to talk. It's important. I don't miss a huge amount of comments. I'm reading 6,000 words a minute. I'm filtering. The answers are appropriate to the questions that are most pertinent to this discussion. I've never been to Toronto. Toronto is not the cleanest cities. It's one of the probably the most environmentally unsafe cities in Canada. And I would hope that Justin Trudeau would do something about that. I have been on Reddit, even though they've been taken over by the government. I don't really like Reddit since they were hijacked and taken over by the government. Most of the good websites, like Reddit was developed by Aaron Swartz, the guy who developed the RSS feeds, and had also developed the Strongbox, which could have been very beneficial for a lot of journalists to protect their data. You're seeing people like Trump now talk about how he wants to boycott Apple because they want to protect your privacy. Trump has actually said he wants to boycott Apple, and they want to protect your privacy. Yeah, I don't know. Excuse me, I just got over a cold. It's pretty bad. It was one of the worst colds I've ever had. Well, let me show you Aaron Schwartz and what happened to him. He was one of the famous journalists who did he developed the intense strongbox capability, but he was also found dead when he was being sued by MIT and the Justice Department for stealing files from MIT and putting them on bulletin boards or on his website. And he was very, very hopeful that he would win that lawsuit. In fact, his fiancée said that he was really in upbeat spirits the day he committed suicide. It lends one to believe that he was suicided. That's a serious problem when somebody's suicided right at the verge of explaining himself and justifying what he was doing. So you're saying I look worse than Bernie? Okay, let's take a look. Let's do a side-by-side comparison of me versus Bernie, okay? Here we go. You ready? I agree, Trump is a fascist. You got the choice between the fascists on the right, Trump, and the Marxists on the left, Hillary. Fascinating, huh? In a country that's supposedly free and democratic, we don't even have a centrist alternative. I would think a lot of you would be screaming conspiracy by now. Trump wants to violate your freedom, and he wants to boycott Apple for simply creating encryption files, which makes no sense at all. So let's take a look here at Bernie. You can do a side. Now this is Bernie's best picture that I've seen. Who do you think is better looking, me or Bernie? Thank you, righty-lefty. All right, I think we've established that lots of right-wing and left-wing nutcases are in the room. That picture was airbrushed. I have to remind you. I'm listening. Ray of sunshine. Jefferson said so back in the 1700s. Trump and Hillary are internet junkies. Well, number one, I have hair. He doesn't. I have 20/20 vision. He clearly is vision impaired. My nose is clearly not, like his nose. I'm not Jewish. He is. That shouldn't be a determining factor, though, in choosing your presidential candidate. Do not allow religion to factor into this. I'm not religious. I do believe in God. No, I actually care about this society so much that I came up with real, tangible solutions right here. Plus, let's not forget that Bernie resisted legalization of marijuana up until the last 2 months. And he still just wants medical marijuana. I want to legalize all recreational use across the country. Again, I'm clearly the best choice for the presidency because 58% of the population want legalization of marijuana. They do. So let's add that to the stack, shall we? So if you think for a second that I am in no way capable of winning this election because no one has heard from me in the mainstream media, what you're saying is you side with the elitists that control our media and you want just corrupt cronies of the political system like Bernie, like Hillary, like Donald to simply become your leader, and these people strictly are going to take orders from whoever's controlling them. In the case of Trump, it would be the Fed. In the case of Hillary, it would be the Fed, and it would be God knows who's been paying her bills, the super PACs that are getting funding from Ukraine, or not Ukraine, Russia, ironically. I don't want you, if you haven't gotten drift of the write-in campaign, we're trying to bypass the Diebold voting system by getting you to write my name in. We don't need to audit the Fed. We already know they've screwed everybody out of lots of money. There's no need to audit the Fed. We simply need to move toward retiring the Fed. the charter of the Fed can be retired based on the Federal Reserve Act. It'll cost about $1 billion, but the good news is we'll make about $8 billion in property value once we retire the Fed. We repossess their properties, and the best thing about retiring the Fed, we have immediate access to the gold held in trust for us by the World Bank when we acquired that gold from Germany and Japan. Right now, $32 trillion is in trust for the United States at the World Bank. We don't have a debt. That's all imaginary. The United States Corporation acquired that debt as an offshoot of the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is a private corporation. So we put our trust with a private corporation in holding the money that we acquired from the Japanese and Germany. We all are veritably rich, but we aren't getting the money. We have to acquire the gold, and once we do, our debt will be erased. And I've been pushing for that. And that's the kind of thing I'll be fighting for when I become president. I'm taking on everything JFK did and more. I'm actually picking up the ball where he left off with Executive Order 111110, in which he tried to create a silver-backed $5 and $1 bill. And he was about to print the $10 bills when he had his head blown clean off. Yeah. Clearly, I'm the best-looking candidate out there. Anybody who says otherwise is lying. And it's not about just how you look. It's the fact that I deliver great ideas, like the mobile medical unit, which I will deploy as president without congressional approval through the executive decisions of the Commander-in-Chief of the United States military. The energy solutions that I'm going to be funding will be funded with all kinds of brand new solution-based funding options like renewable energy savings bonds. Renewable energy savings bonds will offer amazing return, 4% guaranteed return on your investment, and we'll be able to get money directly from these little electric streams coming right off of these types of solutions. Most of the ideas will produce immediate electricity, and we'll be able to pay money back to those people that put bonds out there to create new ideas. We're not going to require tax dollars to fund new renewable energy solutions. Let's just give you the bottom line on taxes. Taxes are, when you write a check to the Treasury, it immediately goes over to the Fed, and they then send that check to the World Bank in large digital quantities. The World Bank takes that money and literally is only paying the interest on the debt. The two parties have essentially borrowed just to finance the operations of this country over the past, well, almost close to 70 years. Since March 9th, 1933, when FDR declared the United States of America is bankrupt, the United States Corporation took over. But they had the United States Corporation in place as far back as 1871 with the Act of 1871. So they were ready to do this. The United States of America is bankrupt right now and has been since March 9th, 1933. But that's not something that we can say is a permanent state. We can easily end that bankruptcy and begin resolving the problem with a good business plan and acquiring the $32 trillion that we have in store for us at the World Bank. No, never been a crony. I'm not part of the political system. You're grasping at straws. A lot of you have nothing on me. And many of you are getting a little worried because I've got nearly 9 months to do this. Yeah. We've been paying interest on the debt acquired from the United States Corporation. A different corporation completely. You didn't sign on to the debt that they acquired. The United States is a corporation. The United States of America is a separate legal entity. You need to look this up. Many of you are completely clueless on this. My system is completely natural. I've never taken drugs in my life. Yes, debt is a scam, I agree. The Lucis Trust Fund is an organization that has been acting as a roster-level booking agent and marketing and publication agent for the UN. The Lucis Trust is a... That's interesting. I just don't have that anymore. Yeah, I lost my access to the song. Yep, after the Civil War. Right around 1871, the Act of 1871 established the United States Corporation. And they built the Commonwealth called Washington, D.C. No, the pot is actually medicinal and has been proven to be medicinal. Countless studies have been done showing its benefits. And because it's medicinal, I will pull marijuana from the list of controlled substances, and I will make recreational use completely legal. We will also set up a plan to make 15% tax on it federally, superseding state taxes, but paying states back money per capita from the proceeds from the sales. Well, yes, there's a. You can actually go to this video right here. Let me pull this up. Project Camelot did an early interview with Karen Hudis. You can take a look at that. Project Camelot interviewed a former attorney for the World Bank. She was attorney for 20 years, and she left in 2007 because she noticed that the monetary world leaders of the World Bank were hiding the gold, that they wouldn't release it. And she's been very instrumental in revealing the nature of how we've been screwed financially by these people. Well, we sent her a couple letters already, but I'm being censored on the internet. If I were to do a show with Karen, it would no doubt have a hit counter lock like all of our other shows. You've got to understand, because I'm one of the few people endorsing my own political movement, the Third Party, we actually believe that censorship is going on the internet, on YouTube as well. I believe I have a strike against me. Saying Karen's a shill is just a stretch. Sorry I purged you. I purged you accidentally. Yeah, I'm just going to say, if you don't research this on your own, folks, you won't know. You have Can't Stop? Okay. Well, Scissor Fight, if you want me to play Can't Stop tonight, you'll have to send me a direct link to that, because I have lost my Dropbox.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it disappeared. I had a server issue earlier or something. Did we also have that issue with the store? Did you check that out?
Yeah, it worked.
It worked now? Okay, good.
I don't know. I think it was just an internet slowdown or something.
Okay, great.
But it worked for me at least once tonight.
Thank you. Your grandpa's now watching my show.
Thanks, Grandpa.
But it wouldn't really matter if I interviewed Karen. She's done so much already across the internet. I don't need to profit from her work. I'm not here to capitalize on her. I've already sent her an email, or friends of mine have sent her emails talking about what we're doing. Many people don't realize the importance of getting oversight of our World Bank situation. It's a serious problem. Sarah's in the show.
Thank you. Did you want to...
I am reading the chat, Ray. I agree, cannabis is a great thing. It's been beneficial for many people. They even did a study, and it's been backed up, peer-reviewed, that cancer itself, brain cancer, benefits from cannabinoids, which shrink cancer cells.
Welcome back, Sammy's dad. And yes, you have been away too long to recall.
You made a video for me, okay.
No, actually, no. The first part of your question is correct. You don't have to.
Oh yeah, the Can't Stop, because Larry Levi made that. Let's see. Let's take a look at how screwed up our laws are. This is a link that came in from Scissor Fight, which is Goldman Sachs to pay up to $5 billion to settle claims of faulty mortgages. Bank of America in 2014 has paid $16.6 billion in a similar settlement with federal state agencies, and JP Morgan paid $13 billion. They're trying to cheat constantly. And they've cheated far worse than this. The SEC hasn't done enough. So we basically cannot stop trying to fix this problem. So we have the benefit of having a really good editor here named Scissor Fight, who came up with a song called Can't Stop, which I'm going to play right now for you. Can't stop because we won't stop. Yeah. I am intelligent. I have 185 IQ. Ray of Sunshine was an imbecile if he thought that I was going to read everything he said and only his statements.
Oh, yes. I want to respond to only you because you're so great. Oh, you're so great.
So let's be clear.
In this coming election,
I'm going to get up now.
please vote for David Sondheim.
I'll do my little dance.
America's Third Party.
You can stay there.
Sondheim for president.
Can't stop, can't stop, and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop.
First we hit 'em low, then we hit 'em high. Under moving, but we make it to the finish line. Rhymes designed to combine and intertwine. Spring, winter, summer, fall, even winter time. We spread it harder, then head on collisions. We make incisions with precision and quick decisions. Causing double visions if you ain't up to speed. You need to speed it up, partner. Yeah, please.
Can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, and we won't stop.
In this coming election, please vote for David Sondheim. America's Third Party.
Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop.
Thank you very much for Scissor Fight for getting that. That was awesome. Yeah. Hey guys, this is just the beginning. We're going to be doing these shows every night into the future for some time. We're not in any way giving up on how to fix this country. We're just getting started, really. We've got great ideas to fix the country. This is Sarah, and we are America's Third Party, and we've been doing this for 7 years. Our goals are pretty simple. We in no way want to hate on government. We just want to change government from within. And this is a revolution, a voter revolt. All right, thank you very much. Yeah, so I guess restarting the computer. I did a little update on the Realtek driver today, so it might have erased something. I don't know, but thank you.
I don't know either.
I've never done that, no. We don't believe that it's a bad thing for our country to have legalization. It'll help the economy. People are going to want to do the simplest things like grow marijuana legally. And when they do that, or they grow hemp industrially, our country is going to profit in the textile industry. We're going to profit in the biofuel industry with hempoline. We are going to see a growing viral business activity like in Colorado, Washington, Oregon, and in other states, 20 states now that have legalized it. Get with the program, folks. Hillary is not going to legalize weed. And I assure you, Donald Trump will not legalize marijuana as well. So you really are at a pivotal point where you can go for a third party and get this thing off the ground and really change the dimension of our economy. If we rely on people borrowing like Hillary and Donald for the rest of our eternal life, our country is going to go so fast into the toilet, it's not going to be funny. These people are all borrowers. They don't understand building equity. They don't get that. I'm not slandering anyone. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are public figures. If I call them a name, it's not slander. There's no law that says it's slander. All right? And I didn't call Hillary a name. I've never even called Hillary. The only bad word I've ever said about Donald was that he was a swine or a pig. But that's only because he's living a life of excessive credit expansion when we have to start looking at credit as something that's bad. Because these credit junkies in our economy have extended credit so far that is now costing us too much in interest. That's really why we are in a situation where we're in today. We're now paying more money in interest than we can barely bring in revenue from the taxes from our GDP. So we can barely cover the debt or the interest on the debt. No, I didn't. You don't understand. Slander law does not apply to public figures.
Right. Anyone can.
He doesn't understand
slander
that.
the president.
You
Right.
can slander me. I get so many people slandering me on a nightly basis. It's not even funny. That's why we have a request that you not demoralize the show or denigrate us. But I can only purge you. I can't stop you from denigrating me. We will not end the private bank system. I support the free enterprise operations of our capitalist system. That's why we wrote a book called Hybrid Capitalism.
Thank you, 417. He said, not gonna lie, you look better than anyone else running for president.
Thank you. Well, believe me, I'm an average guy who really just wants to fix the country, and I believe you really need an average man for president now. You've already gone through the dynastic the dynastic campaigns of Hillary, Jeb, and now Donald. And you're going to get bored with Donald in about 6 months, I assure you. He doesn't have any new ideas. He's borrowed 6 of my ideas to run his campaign against Jeb. And I congratulate Donald on borrowing 6 of my best ideas. But that in no way is an approval of him. I mean, you need an original thinker here, not somebody who borrows ideas. Now, one thing they do say about Trump that seems to be an asset that he has is he's a good negotiator. Now, that's something I will try to do as well, and I would certainly, if I win the ticket, I would certainly invite him to negotiate on trade issues. I'd certainly invite him to the table. I'd even give him a cabinet position. Seriously, I don't hate the man. I honestly don't hate anybody. But I don't want a dynastic 1%er to dictate the rules of the 99% that really need just an average guy to help them. None of his ideas were said in The Apprentice, but it was predated beyond that. If he talked about those ideas in The Apprentice, it was because he was getting them from our show in 2012.
Thanks, Larry.
My ideas were put out 7 years prior to Trump. The 1,000-mile fence, the no refugees was 2 years before Trump even started his campaign. And I've never hated on Muslims or any one particular religious group. Of course, I'm average. I'm actually living below the poverty line right now. So I would consider myself average. Most people now in America are living below the poverty line, or near to it. I don't lie at all. To say I lie a lot is just an outright denigrating statement. It's not a comedy show. It's a brand new movement in America. And by the way, somebody said if Trump is president, all other countries are going to hate us. I agree, guest 417. A famous sheikh in Saudi Arabia actually said recently that if Donald Trump were to become president, they would cut off oil shipments to our nation. So count on the price of gas skyrocketing if Donald Trump becomes president. I'll be back.
All right. Well, you don't have to watch us, Barker. You can always go to another show. Bye. Go somewhere else. Enjoy your life. Greetings, Forrest. All right. Wow, so many questions. Well, I'm here to be of service. And no, you can't call me because I won't answer. I don't think that will happen for a very, 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 very long time, my love. Yes, we do meet and greets sometimes. I haven't seen him in forever, 935. I have not seen him. Maybe that's because I don't have the other show opened. I don't go on that site, Lot Lizard. Okay. Well, I'm just giving David a break. Oh, that salad in there is for you, David. Maybe he'll hear me, maybe he won't. Well, alright. Yummy salad. That's what I had. I made myself one and I made David one as well. My food budget is, I don't know, maybe $100 a week, maybe. Not really, 991. They're too fattening. Alright, I was going to go and look at what is going on in the news. That's a very sad thing from Tyler Burden. I don't know if I like him. Okay. I'm just going to close other things. What will be my First Lady initiatives? I'm going to focus on the basics. Water, food, healthcare, housing, and education. Transportation? Yes, there you go. Oh, and technology. All the things I love. Thank you, 417. Yes, I'm a nice person. No, they always make people walk in front in public. 195. You know why that is, right? Oh, can you use the other mouse, please?
Yep, I will after I clean this one. I'll take it in the other room.
Like, all right. There's something.
No, don't worry about it. I'll clean it up. Hang on.
All right. Well, I will definitely make sure I have a great periodontist. 624. How about that? No, it will be, as I said, I will have 5 initiatives as First Lady. But they are all under one umbrella. Let's get back to the basics.
Yep. I agree.
Well, David has asked me to be his vice president for 403, so I'll continue to talk. And if you don't like it, you can go to another room.
Yeah.
Maybe, Lot, maybe. Incorrect, 991. There's nothing in the Constitution that says you have to be a male. My view on illegal immigration, I'm not in favor of illegal immigration. I believe that it can be resolved with a few things. 1, let's make it so that only U.S. citizens can qualify for welfare. That's huge. 2, make it so that we enforce the laws on the books that say people cannot hire illegal immigrants. Another big step. 3, put a lethal electric fence along our borders. So all of those would be great. Yes, I am female. I can focus on anything that needs my focus, 196. I can also focus on our national security and make excellent decisions if needed. I know, 403. The reason I answered your question is the Constitution does not say anything about there being no religious test based on gender. That's not in the Constitution. If it were in the Constitution, I might have the same issue, but that's not in the Constitution. So I have no problem answering what my gender is. I believe in the Constitution. Give me a break. It's there you go. Yes, because I go back to the Constitution, 403. 1 was in the Constitution, 1 was not. sometimes, Bengalitis. Sometimes. I don't know what you look like, Lot Lizard. Thank you, 403. You're so cute, too. I hope you read the Constitution someday. No, Barker. Not currently. And David never has, by the way. Gotcha! You got me! They won a landmark victory in getting the U.S. Constitution declared unconstitutional? What are you talking about, JPF? Oh, man. I know. Well, I'm sorry, Lot Lizard. I don't have time to watch other people's show. Sorry. You are so great, 403. Absolutely. When I was a child, Barker won. Yeah, when I was a child, I received assistance. I love to learn, and I love to... Yep, I don't mind... Yeah, I like law, I like tech, I like a lot of things. I do love to learn. You have a great link. You want me to post it. Aerial video, 43 giant presidential statues crumbling on Virginia farm. Wow. Yep. All right, Barker, have a great evening. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you're enjoying this time. And if not, I hope you come to realize what it is you want to spend your time doing, because time is limited. It's a really, time is more valuable. Oh, that's pretty cool. Time is more valuable, I would say, than anything. I mean, look at it this way. What are you willing to sell your time for? And here you are spending your time freely watching me. How awesome is that? Thank you so much. Oh yes, you make me laugh. You make me smile. You make me smile like a bird, sing like a bee. All that. Spending time with you is a hobby, and it's a free bonus. Bonus! Awesome. Yeah, so, if you're not in favor of the show, why don't you realize what you want to spend your time doing and go do that? Absolutely. No thanks, 935. I don't really like to spend time in the kitchen. I'm not really a chef, so it's not something that I enjoy. So no thanks. You can spend time in the kitchen if you like cooking and you like to eat. I don't like to even eat sometimes. Sometimes I do, but... Yes. So, okay. Are you from the UK? You must be from the UK, spelling favor like that. Oh, thank you so much, 583. Well, it's my own personal choice to dress how I want, and, so I'll do what I like. But thank you so much. Yeah. And you can dress how you like, and I'll dress how I like. All right. Everywhere in the world except the USA spells it like that, favor. Okay. Thanks for correcting me, righty. Lefty, which would make sense because everywhere else in the world goes on the King's English versus the American English. No, JBF, just because I love the Constitution doesn't make me a member of that particular organization. I know about it. Thanks, JPF. So the Kalamazoo, Michigan suspect is appearing in court. He was an Uber driver and shot a bunch of people. I can negotiate pretty well, Ray of Sunshine. Hello, Salty. The dry erase boards are pretty remarkable. I like that. Remarkable. Did you know there's a cool paint called Idea Paint that you can paint on any surface and it becomes remarkable. It becomes like a dry erase board. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about, 403. Yeah, I suppose you don't believe in legalization of marijuana. I believe that just by legalizing it doesn't make it everyone who wants to legalize it. It doesn't make people who want to legalize it potheads, because I won't smoke pot. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in ingesting it. However, I do believe in legalizing it because I believe each person should make their own personal decision. I am in favor of a lethal electric fence. That's what I'm in favor of. No, 177, absolutely not. I'm perfectly pure. Oh, that's pretty cool, Planet X. Thank you, Abnormal. You're in Brazil? Alright. Fantastic. I had a bunch of friends that I went, and when I was going to high school, I was friends with a bunch of Brazilian foreign exchange students. No to all of those, Barker. No. I do have a natural smile, 196. It's just, I believe in smiling. And so my face kind of got stuck this way in a permanent smile. It's just one of those things. Well, I do believe in that we need someone who's clean-brained, lucid, and smart. I do believe that we need that in the presidency. Wait, I don't understand what you're saying. Is it a super principled freedom half thought for you? I believe in freedom. I believe in personal freedom. I do believe that I believe that people should have personal freedom and make their own decisions. They should be educated about all of the consequences of their decisions. And I think that then they should make their own decisions once they do. You don't like the jacket? You don't like the suit jacket? Well, I can take that off. No, I do not support fluoride in our water system. Yes, I understand your question can come in stages, so you can get me again, 403. Oh, goodness. Well, I will spend my life any way I choose, 298. How about that? I should button this button. There we go. So, I'm spending my life here with you, 298. Aren't you glad you get to spend some of your life with me? Yeah, I kind of do. 159, I kind of do. I'm a granny chick. Sure, you can call me that. I don't mind being called that. I know. I kind of like it. I'm like a little. I'm on the. I'm an old soul. I've often said. Well, I also believe 403 that So what I believe in is that people have to make a personal decision. And so take, for instance, something that is legal. Well, I'll take two things that are legal right now. First, let's talk about cigarettes. Now, advertising told us cigarettes are healthy and cigarettes are good back in the 1940s. And as people came to be aware that cigarettes weren't healthy and it wasn't a good decision to smoke cigarettes, there has been less and less people that are choosing to smoke cigarettes. I never said that for 03. No, I did not. I think it's a very dangerous drug, heroin that is, but I never said that. I said that David would legalize marijuana and that the remaining drugs would be on a case-by-case basis, and it would be up to the American people, and David would go with a supermajority, that's 60% of what people want to legalize. Ooh, what do you think, 902? I have to look up that tendentious word. Thanks for making me learn. 403. Ooh, oops. Abnormal. Oops. I would say no. I don't think I'm necessarily pandering to dependents. I think that I would. Yes, I suppose maybe you're right. Maybe if there were enough people that believed a certain way, I would go with that. But I'm expressing or intending to promote a particular cause or point of view, especially a controversial one. Maybe I am tendentious. I think that's what a tendentious person would start a political party and run a political party, because that's the case. A lot of politics is tendentious. I believe everyone should love each other. No, I'm not doing that because of the noise. As I said, I believe in people's personal freedom. No, 375? Okay, if you think so, 403, I disagree with you, but you can believe whatever you want about me. Yeah, I believe in love. Exactly, abnormal. Should all love one another and spread love, spread light, spread life to each other. 403, you didn't hear my case about that. I don't have a problem with legalization. So go back to your logic. I think what happens is a lot of times some things that are deemed illegal is some things that are deemed illegal, people do them and then realize there's a lot of people out there that are drug addicts and they enjoy the feeling they get from doing certain controlled substances. Wow. I think it's a personal decision, righty lefty, and 403. I think that all of those are personal decisions, and I think that the government shouldn't be involved in people's personal decisions. That's what my main issue would say. I am part of America's Third Party, and I do, if you want to say, pander or defer to David because he is the candidate that's running for office. Absolutely, you're right. So David Sponheim is who I vote for and who I give most of my love to. Yes, I suppose if we address what harm is done by certain things, we can address things consistently. Well, meaning, I mean, I love myself. I love my family. I love my friends. So there you go. I think even more, the more you love people, the more love you have to give. I don't think that's really the case though, JPF. I mean, he's stated adamantly to me privately that he doesn't enjoy that other candidate that you're referring to. So I don't really see that happening. But I mean, I suppose he's open to working with people because he has some great ideas. David does.
Cool. How's it been going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good. I was just working on my JFK impersonation.
Right, if asked. I understand, JPF. Yeah. Walker, I will write in David's name.
We're asking people to write my name in. We've got a corrupt political system, and there's only one way we're going to correct that, and that is to stop the two parties. We're never going to get a new solution-based plan for American workers and American people from somebody in the Democratic or Republican Party because they are run by corporations. They're run by very rich people.
12403, your information will have to wait until I come back from a break. Actually,
Yeah.
It might have to wait until tomorrow.
Let's talk about the question that came in the room. What are your thoughts on polygamy? I don't think the government should be involved in marriage.
That comes down to a personal freedom issue. I will say this. I am against, I'm personally opposed to incest. I'm morally and I believe legally, and it should be legally, opposed to pedophilia. And I believe that should always remain a legal issue.
Thank you. Same here. I agree. We must stop the abuses that are going on in families. And that comes under the heading of domestic abuse. It's not related to the marriage contract, which is a separation of church and state in every way, which we should be following. I'm surprised that Chief Justice Roberts didn't understand that when he recently ruled in favor of same-sex marriage. It's not the purview of the government to legislate in matters of religious or spiritual nature. Donald does not realize that he's going to have to put all of his assets in a public trust. Nobody ever explained that to him. Don't tell him either, because it'll freak him out. Yeah. Don't tell him he's going to have to do that. Okay, I wanted to talk about, I had this little mnemonic reminder here, which I sometimes use images to follow with mnemonic reminders. But memory-based solutions. Yes. I had a salad earlier, and I'm going to have it a little later. I just pounded down a couple of pieces of rye toast with butter on it. Oh, God, it was so good. I just needed to get something substantial in my system. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not in favor of biometric chips in brains. I don't believe in augmented realities where they install chips in our heads. I don't mind virtual reality headsets. I'm concerned about seizures, in the general population from watching rapid eye movement activities, but in no way would I endorse this. So unlike Hillary and Donald, I will go against RFID chipping. Unlike Hillary and Donald, I will stop the incessant need for these companies to invade our personal privacy. There's nothing more personal than our bodies. And to force chips or RFID chips in our body, this includes biometric chips, installing vaccinations, forced vaccinations, I'm against forced vaccinations completely. If parents want to avoid that, we would have a national education plan for a homeschooling and ultimately providing a GED for somebody over the age of 17. Or if you qualify, maybe you get a GED at 15. Something so you could fast track your way to college. I know I would have rather gone to college at the age of 12. It would have been much better if I had just jumped into college at 12. I was told I had the mind of an 18-year-old when I was 6. So forced vaccinations are not something I'm going to allow. I'm going to have an executive order against it. Okay, did we lose the important people here? Because the ones that wanted to talk about politics, or do we just have the guests? Why are CIA, DHS, NSA, FBI, and FEMA retirees all bugging out in preparation for something big? Now, at the end of the 9 o'clock hour, we will go to, thank you, righty, lefty. At the end of the 9 o'clock hour, we will go to our video library, because I'm pretty much spent at 9. Because Sarah gave me a couple good breaks. I laid down and watched some TV for a while. Got a laugh or two. But normally I don't even take those kind of breaks. I'm right back in the chat room. But Sarah was very kind to give me that. Here's a story from Natural News. Huh? Nope, I'm good. I'm going to start the videos at 9. A little earlier tonight. I don't know of a ban on iodine. I know about fluoride. Former newspaper journalist and best-selling conspiracy author Jim Marrs told radio talk show host Dave Hodges in December that some 400 to 500 top bank executives have left their position and had gone into seclusion. Marrs said at the time that the elite have fallback positions from a chaotic society and seed vaults to which only they have access. I'm not low energy. Hardly. How can you say I'm low energy? That's absurd. I just got off a 2-day cold that would blast your brains out if you got it. I have 185 IQ. Low energy, my God. We just lost a semi-important person? What do you mean? Semi-important person. I have a feeling many of you are subjects of fluoridation right now. You probably can't even comprehend what we're talking about. Sarah's a very important person. I'm very important too. Excuse me while I kiss the sky. That is a derogatory statement. I wouldn't have growing numbers of audiences every night if my show wasn't the most entertaining on the internet and most instructive and informative. Let's go to our list of links. This is a round robin time at 8:30 that we go to lists of links every night. And if you want to fast forward to the YouTube video right before, 30 minutes before, we usually hit the sites that we've seen tonight and do a round robin. Okay. So lots of people are bugging out in preparation for a big meltdown in the financial sector. Tendentious, the word for the day. Tendentious means expressing or intending to promote a particular cause or point of view. Tendentious. Live leak, presidential landscape. Let's take a look. Aerial view of giant presidential statues crumbling on Virginia farm. A Virginia drone operator captured this incredible video of 43 presidential statues crumbling in a field in Crocker on February 18th. The sculptures were originally built for President's Park in Williamsburg, Virginia, which opened in 2004 but closed 6 years later. Howard Hankins said the statues from the crusher are moved them to his farm. Okay. According to Smithsonian.com, the sculptures may be removed from Hankins Field soon, but while they're there, they make for an impressive landscape. I'll tell you, this would be a tragedy if we got rid of these. Look at that. My favorite is Andrew Jackson. Hi, green-eyed lady. I did not know that there was a person who died recently in Mexico. I did not hear that. I will be the next president, yes, the 45th president. Thank you, Bengalitis. There is no diagnosis going on in the room. None of you are trained psychologists, so. Well, isn't our nation a little hollow inside, too, when you think about it? They could be turned into really cool, tiny houses. You're right. I'll be staying in the Thomas Jefferson bedroom tonight. No, I will be, and you'll probably wonder why you didn't predict this. In fact, one of the things that will happen for a lot of you is it's the dividing line between you feeling that you're psychic or you feeling you're not psychic. I believe I will be president, and I believe I'm psychic. I've already proven it in many different instances in my life. So when this does happen, and I do become president, many of you go, oh, I guess I'm not psychic. So good luck with that. You live above the largeness of this downstairs neighbor. Yes, my huge brain pan.
The House
bill would require biometric ID for TSA pre-passengers. Look at this. This is interesting. Let's listen in.
is considering a bill this week that might be a gigantic gift from Big Brother to the TSA. The bill is H.R. 3584, and it would require, if it passes, that the TSA would have to implement a pilot program that would require the collection of biometric data for passengers participating in TSA Pre. Now, for those of you not familiar with TSA Pre, this is the program, the racket rather, where you pay $100-something bucks, you undergo a thorough background screening, they give you a special badge, and you can go through a VIP lane, for lack of better words, at the airport. It's a fast lane.
All right, I want to touch on this idea of biometric passes and IDs. You know, I thought he was referring to like chips and RFID chips in our body, like what I'm referring to here. I'm more than concerned about that, but I understand there's got to be ways in which people can, fast track through the airport. I don't see the problem here as long as they're not chipping our bodies. I will, however, end the TSA. We'll phase out the TSA and replace them with a completely civilian and military-based force that is integrated with the existing civilian contracted workers and military contracted workers currently in our military, like the National Guard and the Coast Guard. But I really would rather stay away from civilians. We are hiring civilians right now, and that's where we're going to integrate slowly. We'll phase in the military, but plainclothes military can do the job that any other TSA worker can do, and better. They're more fully trained to deal with the problem. And I've been to the White House. I went to the White House during Richard Nixon's time. I actually toured the White House with my family. We had to get approval from our congressman. You had to have a person sponsor you to go there. I think that's still the same case. In the future, that will not be a requirement. I will be opening up a buffet at the White House featuring products that we grow in the actual organic garden, non-GMO products in the organic garden that we'll have right outside the Rose Garden. And it won't be a little garden like Michelle, the transgender or whatever she is, the first lady or first tranny or whatever she is. We want to actually have an organic garden. And we want to make a statement about the dangers of GMOs, the dangers about pesticides, and every time people eat there, they'll be enjoying the best possible quality food. That includes possibly a lobster, kind of a seafood lobster bisque, something like that. We'll integrate with crab or lobster. We'll try to keep lobster in it. And an actual sandwich that is grown and raised locally in a non-GMO wheat and bakery. So we'll actually produce our own bread. We won't serve you processed bread. I think that when people go to restaurants or buffets, they should have homemade bread. I don't know about you, and it should be non-GMO. I mean, is that what you would expect at a buffet? Well, you write my name in. It's that simple, Mr. Sponheimer. How should I vote for you? Just write David Sponheim on the ballot, and it's a better choice. You're wasting your vote for either Trump or Hillary at this point, and I'm assuming the government is so controlled that they will be the two choices by the next 3 months. We won't have any other choices. I'd be very surprised if any other candidate makes the move and gets ahead of either Hillary or Donald in the race. And I'm glad that Donald's been endorsed by the Republicans, because it's going to take down their party. It'll be the end of their party having a fascist extremist who wants to ID Muslims and create deportation forces. Now, my idea of the 1,000-mile fence along the border, which he borrowed from me, will be implemented as a lethal electric fence, and we'll be able to build it within 6 months, or at least most of it. I've done the numbers, and I think I can build 50 miles a day with a crew large enough to supply the necessary labor to construct this. The fencing is already in existence. We just have to pull it off of the fences that are currently in the FEMA camps in the northern sector of our country. There's lots of different fenced areas that are unnecessary. We don't need concentration camps in a free nation. So I'll be moving to break down the northern areas where they have FEMA camps and bring all that fencing to the southern border. And then we'll roll it out and ramp it up to 10,000 volts. Enough to fry anybody that goes over it. We'll also have an adequate area in front using natural barriers like rose bushes and some rolled barbed wire that they wouldn't electrocute themselves on, and ample warnings that you can't cross. You know, a lot of demoralizing statements will be purged. We have an auto purge system in here, so when you see things like that happen, it's just somebody who's extremely concerned that I am better than the two candidates, and once I reach some minuscule amount of media time, like 1 minute, I can prove to the American people that everybody is going to want a centrist president. Let me explain how I'm going to beat the two parties. I mean, it's very simple, really. It's a tactical move that I made in 2007 when we started finally honing in on the idea of America's Third Party. In 2008, we were up and running. And we believe that a centrist party is going to succeed against the polarized divisions of the fascist policies of Donald Trump and the communist policies of Hillary Clinton. Which is very interesting, because at this point we are desperate for a sane, sensible solution to America's problems. Fiscal conservancy combined with socially liberal programs that don't charge the taxpayer any money at all is the key to getting this country back on track. We've got to focus. I'm not paranoid about anything. I'm actually invite your criticism. I just don't need people making demoralizing statements. Because seeming is not, it's a subjective opinion. I'm going to purge it. It is. In fact, it's more of a campaign. It's a larger campaign than you'll ever even imagine. The idea of actually challenging the two-party system is perhaps the most monumental task anyone in America has ever attempted, let alone achieved. And I would say that we have Abraham Lincoln to thank for being that person. Abraham Lincoln was the first third-party president, and I look a little scratchy here, I agree. I just didn't have enough time to shave this morning, apparently. I think getting 25 uses out of my razor is kind of reaching the end of its rope, too. I am open to criticism as a candidate. But again, you can't constantly demoralize us. I was born in Los Angeles, California, the city. My name's David, and I'm not a cop. Check out the bird. I'm bored by you because you don't understand how important it is.
Happening on each side here.
I'm bored by you because you don't understand how you can actually question the government. Many of you are just accepting things as they are and expecting different results after somebody gets elected. Many of you don't even understand the depth of your questions of the two parties. I support the idea of a woman choosing. I'm still concurrent with the Roe v. Wade decision, but I personally don't want women to have abortions. if I were to impregnate a woman, I would plead with her not to do the abortion. I would. I would not in any way urge it. But I recognize that a woman is going to end up in an abortion clinic with coat hanger abortions going on otherwise if we don't stick with the letter of the law currently. But I will make this statement, and many of you pro-lifers will listen to this and may find some virtue in it. When a baby is about this big, that's as large as they are in the 12th week of a woman's pregnancy. That's the first trimester. And at that stage, the cerebrum, this part of the brain right here that has the chip conveniently put on it, which I'm against, this part of the brain isn't even formed. And this is the pain center. This is also the center you tap in with a biometric chip if Hillary were to get elected. So I don't fully support abortion rights, no. I'm going for a first trimester law that would eliminate children aborted, babies aborted after the 12th week. Troll heaven is great. Yeah, one of the reasons why we've grown so much we're growing so much and so rapidly is we've allowed trolls all these years. We've just purged some of your comments that are demoralizing. And without a lot of the haters' help, I wouldn't have even been in the news right now. Yeah, this year I got into the Rolling Stone, and they acted like haters as well. They're like trolling. The Rolling Stone's now just a simple rag sheet for the CIA, much like most of the media today in America. Back in the 1960s, they developed a thing called Operation Mockingbird, in which the CIA has been single-handedly involved in generating news stories for organizations, newspapers, media. And this is public knowledge, although you don't know it if you haven't watched our show. Many of you may not be aware of the simple fact that our Senator, Frank Church, in the 1970s, actually exposed the CIA's role in the media. And it got very little playtime in the actual event, in the media itself. But Frank Church, one of our best senators in the 70s, 1975, I believe, made a very strong showing of what was really going on. Let me show you what we have here, Operation Mockingbird. You need to see this.
I thought that it was a matter of real concern that planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here, because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. And we're looking at that very carefully.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole News and Public Affairs operation in 1954, the ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them. We have quite a lot of detailed information, and we will evaluate it, and we will include any evidence of wrongdoing or any evidence of impropriety in our final report and make recommendations.
Like some of you might be in the final year of your last term,
people
working as hard as you can,
being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI.
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
Senator, do you think that you named the news organizations in your final report?
That remains to be decided.
I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
Would you say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. They got more careful about it. In fact, most of the programs, a couple changes occurred in our government in the 1970s. They began to go private. They contracted a lot of the work at Operation Mockingbird, Operation Monarch, Operation Cable Splice, Operation Artichoke, Operation Bluebeam, have all been managed under private contractors so that they didn't have any oversight. And this technology that they developed was brainwashing technology that was originally developed by Adolf Hitler. And many of you don't know that social scientists, many of them came over with Operation Paperclip along with the nuclear scientists. So I just gave you all of the operations, and you can watch the video again and read my lips. But you can research every one of them and find out that they're actually operating under the veil of secrecy now. But thanks for sharing. Yeah, many of you don't know that. In 1995, there was the MK Ultra project in which they actually got sex slaves to talk about their brainwashing, where they were turned into sex slaves to be manipulated into controlling politicians and getting them involved and entrapping them and becoming industrial thieves. Espionage was being committed. So MK Ultra was evolved. And then they went private on not only that, but the parapsychology studies that the government was involved in as well. So all of these studies are no longer under the purview of the government. They're all under private controlled contractors. Like Halliburton, I'm not exactly sure what they're involved in, like Lockheed Martin, Skunkworks Productions, and these kinds of things. So yeah, it's pretty much a treasure trove of information once you dig a little deep and get into that rabbit hole and start looking and seeing what is happening in your country that claims to be free and democratic. There's so many things that it's scary. They've got events that are going on that you wouldn't even believe. It's shocking. Like this one. The SCPS program.
Censored beats in this video are classified names or locations that are withheld from public hearing.
So I can't play it for you because it's top secret. But it talks, I can just give you little clips of it here. Let me show you.
Perform illegal moves during a game and make illogical turns whilst playing. Bring a whole enough to serve as food. Others are left intact.
Now this goes into the realm of real serious conspiracy theory. And I don't even want to talk about that because it's kind of pointless. We have a country that needs a leader, not a person who's a conspiracy theorist. And I'm not trying to in any way embrace conspiracy theories. I don't even believe in aliens. I am, however, giving you factual information about the secrets of our government insofar as public disclosure has been made on these secrets. I'm not giving you any information more than I know or anyone can find out in the public air, just looking at what's going on. You know, a couple of people, Tom Clancy, one of the great authors, he died of a heart attack, very mysterious circumstances. He was pulled aside by the FBI, I understand, and they asked him, how did you find all these secrets out about our programs that he wrote about in Tom Clancy's books? And Tom Clancy actually said, hey, let's take a walk, guys. And he took the FBI down to the public library. And he essentially showed them that it's all right here. You just have to piece it together. So basically, if you pull enough information out there in the public domain, your logical brain will eventually realize, wow, we've been lied to. And we need a different party to represent honesty in American government. And obviously a third party is the way to go. Well, let's be clear. You know, when JFK said that Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. When he said those fateful words that he said, it lands flat for people now. People are more concerned about what the country is going to do for them. And I don't blame you, to be honest. I know that many of you haven't had a fair education. Many of you are Caucasians, and like myself, who've been singled out and kept from getting scholarship or advancement in colleges. I'm a personal victim of affirmative action, and I'd be glad to share my story. I'm doing it in my book that I'm writing. But in reality, many of you are going to need a hand up in life because our government's left us penniless, like paupers, barely functioning. Many of us don't have the will to go out and work. 93 million American people who have the ability to work are not working. And there's a reason for that. No, Paul McCartney, I believe, is no doubt the amazing work of Paul McCartney is without a doubt a real addition to the Beatles. But Paul McCartney is not Paul McCartney. He's someone else. His name is William Shears Campbell, and he was replaced in 1966. In 1966, there was I hate to shift gears here, but I'm responding to chat. In 1966, there was an amazing contest, and I remember hearing about this because one of my sisters was involved in the entire Beatle fan club, and I remember reading about how they actually did a thing to find out who could impersonate Paul McCartney, and they found this one guy, and his name was William Campbell actually, and he is immensely talented, and I admire the work that he's done since then. So I look at Paul McCartney as Paul McCartney, but different guy, completely changed. And not only am I convinced of this, but forensic experts have actually looked at Paul McCartney and his face and checked it against the previous Paul McCartney. It's completely different. We are looking at a 66% match between one and the other. Here's a good description of the two. You can see it. This is actually the picture that these Italian forensic experts developed to find the truth about Paul McCartney. Yeah. I'm going to give you the link so you can read it. Calling me dumb isn't going to solve things. You know, name calling is the highest form of ignorance. Good job. You've succeeded. Many of you think this is a joke, but this is the actual link. You can check it out. Italian link. These Italian forensic scientists determined that there was no direct match between these two faces. You'll notice the nose is distinctly different. Spacing of the face. The original Paul McCartney had a wider face. Nope, it's not a hoax at all. In fact, the fact is you've been lied to by very much Operation Mockingbird to believe that people like Paul McCartney would never have been replaced. I did catch a cold, yes. I had a 2-day bout with cold that was just horrible. I guess 700. Yeah. Believe me, my eyes are wide open. Many of you've got like slits with dampeners on them and blinders, and you're myopic. You're short-sighted. My eyes are long-sighted and completely open to any possibilities. And you know, one of the things about doing this show every day for the past 7 years, it's given me an amazing amount of information in a short period of time. I would never have been able to gather as much information as I've gathered without doing this show. And you can take a person with an 185 IQ and you can read all the books in front of you, but you can't get the amount of integrated information that I've been getting over the past 7 years. And I can tell you with assurance that I never went into this with the intent that I'd be saying that Paul McCartney was replaced. I didn't even go into this with the intent that fluoride was that bad for us. But when I realized in around 2005 that things were really not normal, you start to look into the facts and the figures. You realize, oh, wow, there is no scientific study to verify that fluoride prevents cavities when it's in the water system. Now, I'm not controlled opposition. If I was getting money to do this, that would be a different story. Nope, I'm not a shill. In fact, my efforts now are clearly being ignored and completely hidden by the mainstream media. That alone should give you an obvious clue as to the fact that I'm not a shill. Yeah, Fairbite, I'm going to ask you to stop doing that or I will ban you. That's your last warning. Yes, Harvard. In fact, my family started Harvard. My great grandfather founded Harvard. Yet I didn't use my mother's maiden name to get into Harvard. I was completely alienated. And I didn't say, like Elizabeth Warren, that she was a Cherokee Indian, even though I have Algonquin in my blood. Algonquin is something that could have qualified me, but I didn't stoop to that low level of saying, oh yes, I'm 132nd Algonquin, I'm a minority, like Elizabeth Warren did, claiming she's Cherokee. No, my mother didn't abuse me, no, unless you consider verbal abuse. Then I would have to agree with you. I'm not mentally unstable. In fact, I don't pose any signs of mental instability. It's kind of amazing. Whenever I get extremely stressed out, I get calmer. I don't think this has ever been the case for most people. I'm in no way a sociopath. I deeply care and I'm empathetic for people, and I've shown that throughout my life. I would say I was traumatized by verbal abuse. Yeah. I don't know if any of you could say you weren't traumatized by verbal abuse. My mother had a car accident in 1965. No, I'm not. My mother had a car accident in 1965 that affected her entire life. She went through the windshield. She was lucky to be alive. And you'll read about all this in my book coming up at the end of the year. But it's a serious situation when a person has brain injuries, and her whole personality changed. So for the first 5 years of my life, I had a very idyllic childhood and a wonderful period of time. My mom treated me with such an enormous amount of love. It was amazing. But then after 1965 and after the accident, I'll never forget the change in her personality. But I luckily had developed past the age of reason at an early age because of my intelligence. The age of reason is 7 years old, when people finally realize what's right or wrong. It takes that long for the average person, but I had achieved that at a younger age. But my book will be coming out at toward the end of the year. I'm hoping that you will get on board with this party to write my name in and build this third party, because it's so important that you realize the necessity of picking an average American who's honest as your president, as opposed to a non-average 1%er who's completely deceptive and deceitful in the way he behaves. When Donald Trump said that if he shot somebody in the street, his voters are so supportive that they'll continue to vote for him, it indicated to me that he had homicidal ideation. And if a psychologist was to look at that, they would say, wow, this guy's got homicidal ideation. And when you look at what Donald Trump said about privacy and how we should boycott Apple when they're trying to protect your privacy, that makes me concerned too. And then when Donald Trump continues to want to attack people, showing his lack of respect for our wonderful Constitution by telling Muslims that they have to be ID tagged, that's an outright violation of our Constitution and freedom of religion protected under the First Amendment. So clearly Donald Trump is an anti-constitutional person. And Hillary seems to be the same way. Hillary seems to be in a place where she wants to hate on anyone who disagrees with her Marxist policies. Well, yeah, the cold virus is around. I've cleaned everything off the surfaces. Been very careful with rubbing alcohol. I'm doing the best I can to prevent Sarah from getting this. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's go to the Trump article that talks about it. Yeah, I don't want any of you to, in any way to be misled. So let me just give you the link library to the Trump library we've constructed with this, and we'll pull up that article for you. Countercurrent News talked about it. Your mom had the cold I had 2 weeks ago? Oh, she had it 2 weeks ago? Wow. Yeah, this is what Trump said. He said a lot of things out of turn, and many of those things are going to come back to haunt him in this campaign. Believe me, I won't hesitate to do everything I can to prevent you from having a despotic corporate swine running our country. I don't think Bernie's got it in him to stop him. Bernie doesn't have the wherewithal to stop Trump. He doesn't have the ability to defeat Trump verbally. Smearing Trump is not what I'm doing. No, I'm not. I'm just telling you this is what's going on. You can't defend what he said, so you're claiming he didn't say it now? Wow. The presidential Republican frontrunner has just crossed the line from his usual rhetoric into full-blown Nazism. It's all happened during a comment Trump made Thursday morning about Muslim immigrants and Syrian refugees. Disturbingly, Trump refused to rule out a government requirement for Muslims to carry out special identification cards or patches that would identify them by their faith. These comments directly parallel what the Nazi Third Reich required of Jews and other minority groups. I think you have to recognize that these events that Trump says are actually going to be used against him. You cannot go around calling people, I'm not slandering anybody, Donald Trump called Megyn Kelly bleeding from her eyes or whatever, criticizing women for their menstruation period, essentially, to paraphrase. And I must tell you that nothing will stop people from forgetting that. When Donald Trump said he would, if he went out in the street and killed somebody, like I said, his voters are so loyal they'll continue to vote for him. It showed that he has homicidal ideation, which is an extremely dangerous quality to president. When Hillary Clinton made a comment that Donald Trump was bullying people and he shouldn't win by bullying, she's right. Ironically, Hillary's right. You can't win by bullying people. That's the wrong way to go. And when Trump said he wanted to create deportation forces, it reminded me of what Adolf Hitler did in the World War II period. It shows me that he really does seem to admire Hitler. So you people on the right want to vote for a Hitlerian figure. Okay, you're out of here. You want to vote for a Hitlerian figure. It's just crazy. You know, I don't know how you did it, but you got me past the 1 hour mark. So I'm going to go ahead and extend my show 30 minutes. His father was arrested at a 1927 KKK rally. But one of the most damning things about him is his wife said in her deposition in the Trump divorce that he kept a book about Hitler next to his bed. Let's talk about the Denver airport. Okay. I don't know much about the Denver airport other than the fact that it is 8 floors down. And it could very well have a secret area with apartments in it for people to live underground in preparation for the coming apocalypse. Don't worry about it. I'm giving you a 30-minute extension. I'm not a KKK member. I don't support the KKK. If you want to support it, that's your choice. But I just want people to be aware that his father was at the KKK rally and was arrested there. That's pretty damning evidence of his alliance. And the fact that he read Hitler's book next to his bed and came up in the divorce proceedings with Ivana. I'm not even talking about how he'd be willing to date his daughter if she wasn't his daughter. I mean, statements like that are typical of Trump. He speaks out of turn. And every one of them will be used against him in this campaign. By me. I'm not bullying anybody. Using the IRS to crush opponents is bullying. I agree. There's a possibility that our electric grid will morph and melt down with an electromagnetic pulse. This could happen in any type of a engagement with a foreign power, an attack. So what I'm proposing is a virtual, not a smart grid, mind you, like Obama's trying to put a meter on your house. Extremely dangerous. I would stop the smart grid plan and the smart meter plan. And I would bring on my Genius Grid. The Genius Grid does not have you individually monitored. It doesn't in any way limit access based on your usage or will in any way affect you or blow up or melt down like they're doing in some areas. A lot of the smart meters have actually melted right there next to your house, started fires. So what I'm proposing is a Genius Grid. that will actually be built to defend against an electromagnetic pulse. It'll be part of my renewable energy solution, which I'm proposing, which is based on a rebuild of our existing system, burying a lot of lines and taking existing lines and building backup systems to provide energy. In the event of an EMP, we will definitely... You're on LSD, really? I wouldn't know what that feels like. With the Genius Grid, we'll be able to stop the smart meter program and bring on a backup of electricity that will trickle in the event of a shutdown. And we'll be able to have an incredibly new and developed insulated electric system that will prevent an EMP attack. Now, the problem with EMPs is it's such a short period of time, a nanosecond of time, in which our solenoid systems do not have time to react. Normally, if an electric burst occurs at your local power station, it shuts off, breakers stop. But the EMP potential is to break through every that within a nanosecond and shut down everything and make it so we can't even get up and running. Well, this system will get up and running and even provide, with our solar panel solution for homes, backup electricity well into the future for all of you to have your own private battery system. So if you did have a shutdown, it would be backed up by a 24-hour or 48-hour battery system that would be based on a long-term battery solution as opposed to short-term batteries. It's not like you'd have to replace those batteries. They'd be built more like capacitors. You think I'm full of crap? Do I need a bowel movement? Are you my intestines talking to me? Because you're really trying to denigrate me, and I really don't like that. Just because I provide you good solutions, like oil is renewable. Thank you. Yeah, oil is renewable. I agree. All right, I was going to do a round robin here and continue that for you. And you know I'm against RFID chipping. Just bear that in mind. I'm the only candidate against RFID chipping and vaccinations, forced vaccinations, and fluoride in our water system. I'm the only candidate that admits that 9/11 looks like an inside job. Donald won't admit that. I'm the only candidate that wants to end the Fed now that Rand Paul has left and Ted Cruz looks like he's on his last leg. I hear you. You're allowed to say whatever you want, but it is derogatory. And I'm just saying I'm going to continue to take your words out of the show, and it will not be in the log for more than a few seconds. I'm not forgetting words like renewable. I'm totally in love with the idea that oil is a renewable resource. I did the math and the scientific scrutiny necessary to determine that the Earth and the mantle is an actual refinery of oil. Now, I have a very strong point to verify this. If you look at the oil that they found at 10,000 feet below the Marianas Trench, which is the lowest area in the ocean, and they found oil at that level, you can't tell me that dinosaurs were down there 10,000 feet below 30,000 feet of water. You can't tell me that. It's just melted material from aging vegetation. So the word renewable really does apply to oil, and it does apply to like everything from hempoline to even ethanol. Technically is a renewable resource, but not a good one. Ethanol gets 23% less fuel mileage than gas. Ethanol was a big, huge scam by Bush and the Bush administration to get money on green energy tax credits. Companies like Archer Daniel Midland's received billions of dollars in funds. $15 billion worth of funds just for having ethanol production. It was more like a scam on the American taxpayer. Ethanol is not something I would focus on. Water is renewable, yeah. I don't buy gas with ethanol, but I have to by law because I buy gas in my area which has 10% ethanol. We will not continue fracking that's toxic. I will outlaw toxic fracking operations involving all these chemicals. The only fracking operation that we'll be allowing in 2017 will be natural fracking, involving strictly steam and cold water, nothing else. The only reason why I want to do that is that benzene will fracture the ground and create earthquake potential, like which is going on in Oklahoma right now, and really pollutes the water tables. But hot water injected in the center of a ring with 5 spaces around with cold water produces a veritable crude refinery in the ground that'll perfectly sweet crude, the best sweet crude out of the ground from the shale oil we have. And the water sinks down to the ground and displaces the fracturing of the ground. So the fracking doesn't occur in the same way that you're getting it right now across the nation. Natural fracking is something that isn't even being explored by our government right now. I talked to Bill Rogers, the director of Idaho National Laboratories, about this directly, and he said that it's entirely possible, but it's really a political impasse we face to do this natural fracking process. I would only do natural fracking, like I said, but not the existing fracking operations that are currently going on. We would begin outlawing those. Folks, anybody who is receiving contaminated water, we're going to have a very robust program. FEMA is going to have not only food reserves when I'm president, regional food centers, we're going to eliminate FEMA fencing. These are important things for a lot of you people who are concerned about the FEMA camp programs out there. Eliminate FEMA fencing in the northern regions, in the north, because we're going to obviously need it in the south to deal with the fence we're going to build. And then we're also going to provide water. FEMA is going to have FEMA water filtration systems for home use. That's my target goal. So anybody who's suffering from gas contamination or any kind of water contamination issue for whatever reason will have a ready supply of low-cost filters and free systems to install. Yes, we're going to allocate FEMA money for that. Like the people in Flint, Michigan right now that are now forced to drink lead water, and they're not even allowed, they have literally living off bottled water, and they're unable to get any water to drink. Flint, Michigan, by the way, is a result of Nestle Corporation. They took all kinds of free water from Lake Huron, dried it up so the Flint didn't have any water, so Flint had to get the water from the river, which happened to be contaminated from Nestle Corporation. Clean water is job one. I agree, Ron. I will ban all forced vaccinations in this country will be banned, 935. And we will start the process of reviewing the science and data regarding vaccinations, which I believe is terribly incomplete. I got to tell you, I don't think America is not great. Unlike Donald Trump, who says he's going to make America great again, I have to ask him, what, by borrowing money? Because America isn't in any way suffering from this lack of greatness. We've always been a great nation. But in Donald Trump's eyes, we're not. So when he says he wants to make America great again, he's really just talking about what he's done with his business, which is to borrow money, to pretend like he's great. Okay, here's the troublesome picture of what is at the Denver airport. And this is a picture of what many people believe the New World Order horseman of the apocalypse, or the horse of the apocalypse. Many people don't understand why this would be at the Denver airport, but by the way, I am in favor of the rights to bear arms. So we do need wealth redistribution. Absolutely. No question about it. We just don't want to bear the burden onto the middle class. And unfortunately, when Bernie talks, he's such a taxer and spender, and like all the Democrats, he really is the last person you'd want to lead this nation, because I don't want to tax you, especially if you're middle class or upper middle class. My plan of a flat tax of 10% is something I'll be discussing on everything over $100,000. Anyone making less than $100,000 would not have to pay any taxes at all. None of these ideas are coming out of Bernie Trump's mouth. Yeah, might as well. You've got the leftist on the left, and you've got the right-wing fascists on the right. And the real problem is none of them have any common ground. Now, I say this for last because it's important before I go on my round-robin trip again. Well, wealth redistribution in and of itself is something that we can acquire through opportunity. We need double the size Pell Grants. We need to make sure that we lock down on tuition rates. These are the ways we're going to distribute wealth, by giving people opportunity. Yeah, Bernie is all about taxing, and And plus, we can't just give money away. We all see how that's been abused. I have offered a $1,000 micro loan program for every U.S. citizen. That's what I have on board for Americans. And if you pay it back within 6 months with $40 interest, we'll give you another $1,000. And you can pay it back in 2 weeks with $40 interest, and we'll give you another $1,000. We want to help build businesses. A lot of people will take that money and run, and in the process, at least they're using the money to help stimulate the economy. At the good side, they're going to actually build a business. And that could be something that could help them grow financially. And the government will finance some loss in that micro loan program, but it shouldn't be that great. Yep, Melania seems to be pro-liberal, whereas Sarah and I are centrists. Plus, Sarah's never posed naked. She's never done any nudity. I mean, you get the benefit of having a woman who has integrity, protects her rights. You know, the first lady should have a certain level of decorum that protects her dignity. And it shows the dignity of the White House. Sarah would be that person. I've never posed naked. I've never done porn or anything like that. I'm a very traditional kind of prudish person. I don't think I'd ever do anything like that. If somebody caught me a picture of my sculpted body from a distance with my Speedo on, what am I going to do? People have telescopic lenses, and I might be in Monte Carlo taking a swim. Who knows? I'm just kidding. Well, Renegade Spunk, I'm voting for myself. If you don't want to get with the program, then that's your choice, man. Trump will never reveal the New World Order. He's a part of the New World Order. He will never stop the Fed. He took out loans to finance his bankruptcies. He will never be able to in any way stop GMOs in our environment, fluoride in our water. He won't even stop the rapid scanners in the TSA. In fact, his plan for deportation forces will involve a larger police state, more traffic cops with speed guns, not a reduced police state, which is I'm supporting. I'm supporting a reduction of the police presence around the country with more of a low profile. No path to citizenship for lawbreakers. We have a simple plan called fast track naturalization, which requires people to go to their home country, to the U.S. embassy there and they have to pay a fee to become a U.S. citizen. Oh, good. I'm glad he was being facetious. Just say no to the New World Order, folks. They are the two-party system. They own and operate the two parties. We're waking people up every day on the internet, and I urge you to talk about us daily to friends and family. Many of you are getting secretly excited about the third party, so it's become kind of like a dance move. That's pretty funny. I have no idea what that is. Actually, we support castration of sex offenders, and I support a 3-strike law with the death penalty. Problem is, the current Supreme Court, and I'm sure the more liberal Supreme Court Obama is going to put in place when he picks a Muslim for the replacement of Justice Scalia, who was, I believe, murdered. It's going to be very difficult to put together a 3-strike law and get past the Supreme Court, as it's currently decided that rape cannot be in any way punished with capital punishment. The Eighth Amendment prevents it in their interpretation. Even though I would like a 3-strike law against rape, I have the Supreme Court ruling to deal with. But I've always talked about a 3-strike ruling against rape or molestation. But it would have to have verifiable proof with DNA evidence in each case to meet a 3-strike criteria. But again, I honestly don't think I'm going to be able to implement it as long as the Supreme Court is being stacked by them killing justices like Justice Scalia. I must say, I believe Justice Scalia was murdered. I don't see how anybody in their right mind could not think that there was a cover-up here when they didn't even do an autopsy and he was found with a pillow over his head. Well, either way, molestation and rape, in my opinion, are horrible crimes, and they should not be treated lightly like we do with our liberal justice system right now. I'm also in favor of capital punishment at the federal level, as long as there's DNA evidence verifying that these people did the crime. There have been studies like the executions that George Bush performed in Texas. I think he did over 59 executions. They say 32% of them may have been innocent. I don't want that to happen in this system. But I definitely believe capital punishment is a deterrent to murder. Exactly. Poindexter wasn't interrogated. Obama met with the one family member that was a military operative, Scalia's son. Yet the news reported Obama met with family members, plural. It was just one guy that met him. The mother wouldn't meet him. And Obama didn't go to the funeral. And he didn't play golf on that day either. So what was Obama doing the day of his funeral? And why didn't he go to the funeral of a standing dead Justice of Supreme Court Justice? So a lot of really, really weird. Yeah, any proof? Thanks for that on federal law. I like Scalia too. He was one of the guys responsible for creating a larger prison system in our country, which is one thing I, of course, disagreed with him on. But he did stand as opposition to the liberal left, which is leaning toward communism. Many of you who don't understand what I'm saying would consider it gibberish. I understand. Much like a person receiving information, digital code, and they had no knowledge of code. Many of you don't understand how to read code, so you wouldn't understand how the internet operates, so you wouldn't understand anything in that area. Ordered not to go to the funeral by patriotic U.S. generals. Can you verify that and prove it in link form, please? Thank you. I speak the truth every few seconds because I always speak the truth. Again, you're really grasping at straws here. I'm not a liar. I've never lied in my life. I'm surprised that you even call me these names. I'm actually shocked. Let me give you the round robin I promised you earlier because I've only got 6 minutes left. All right. Thank you. Wow. So much for the round robin. I'll pick up where I left off. We got a lot of videos for you tonight, all queued up. Fun stuff. Okay, I started here and I went to tendentious, and then I think I got hung up. Oh, the video of the giant. Okay. And then we did this. Thank you. This is my personal YouTube site, which I've done a blackface video in 2014, which has a hit counter lock on it. You can see it doesn't move, proving the censorship. You know, that's just outrageous. I can't believe you'd say something like that in a chat room. You need to be your mouth need to be washed with a little bit of soap, I think. Maybe an all-natural aloe vera rinse or something. Kalamazoo shooting suspect Jason Brian Dalton appears in court. Man decided to go on a murder spree as an Uber driver. Can you imagine calling up and saying, "Hi, I need a ride down this street. I was wondering if you need..." "Yeah, hotel, pick you up, yeah." He killed everybody who came in his car. You want the blackface video? You just go to the link. I just gave it to you. Didn't I give you the link? Did I forget the link? Let me... Chat's sometimes going so fast that... Here's the link again. Yeah, check it out. You can watch all my YouTube videos. They're all really funny. You got Blackface 2 Lite, Blackface 2, the longer version, Obama's Boogie, Obama Ebola, great one, 3 minutes. Anyway, I made a couple one, like this one from Nancy Schaefer. This is really good down here. The Missing Kids Cover-Up. Check this out.
Every year in America, 55,000 kids are missing, gone, vanished. We don't know where they went. This statistic is derived from missingkids.com. Law enforcement has been unable to piece together who has taken or who has abducted these children. Police have failed. This has been investigated at the state level. At the federal level, the FBI has prevented deep investigations into these missing kids. We believe this could very well go to the highest level of government. One woman, Nancy Schaefer, died. She was killed, trying to find out why these kids are missing and what is going on in the CPS network.
But all of it is based on money, and that's where it's going to have to be cut off. The federal incentives have got to be cut off and be removed on a federal level in order to get this stopped. We have so many families calling that are absolutely delirious. They are so desperate. They do not know where to turn, and actually, they have no place to turn for help. And of course, parents, the poorer the families are, those are the ones who are targeted because they don't have the wherewithal to fight the system or hire an attorney. And they are just caught up in it, and many of them are because their children are blue-eyed or blonde or exactly what someone wants, and those families are targeted. So it is just heartbreaking as to what is going on and what we've got to do in order to bring this to an end.
Okay, so I will end CPS as we know it with executive order. We're going to end, I'm going to completely shut down the agency because of this corruption. I'll be integrating modern policing tactics. Currently, police departments are using their services for a lot of domestic abuse settlements. This will involve police being trained in certain basic protocols in dealing with families who are in crisis that may be abusing their children. The CPS is proven to be an ineffective agency and needs to be shut down. In 2000, Bill Clinton awarded $4,500 per child incentives for the CPS to go in and pull a kid out of that home and put him somewhere, even in a foster care home. Now that's just completely turned this into an incentivized industry for taking children out of homes. And it's been exploiting various families that are unable to defend against this attack. Nancy Schaefer, a senator in Georgia, two-term senator in Georgia, did the hard work to reveal all this, put together 2 hours of footage to be edited into a documentary and gave it to a producer, and then died right after that, a day after that. Right when the producer said he was going to develop the documentary, she and her husband were found dead. And it sure looked like it was a murder, not a murder-suicide, but it sure looked more like somebody killed him and her. He was shot in the stomach, and she was shot in the back, laying on the bed. I mean, what person shoots their wife in the back and then shoots themselves in the stomach to have an agonizing, long period of time to die? The whole thing is absurd. And second of all, they didn't have any financial problems, like the police said. Nancy and her husband didn't have a serious financial problem. They had plenty of equity. They had no major issues. And his cancer was in remission. So the argument that was said about Nancy and her husband, Nancy Schaefer, is completely bogus. There's been a lot of situations where people have been murdered and they paint it as a murder-suicide. I would not recommend people going to the Denver airport to see it as a field trip. I think it only adds to the ridiculous notion that these people have total control and want to dominate the world with a new world order. It's wrong. Okay, let's continue our little search here. New York rules that vaping is not smoking. Good. After a vapor was cited for using his device on a subway platform, he challenged the issue in court. People versus Thomas. Judges New York said defined smoking as the burning of a lit cigarette. Cool. That's exactly what I use. That vaporizer right there. I use that with herbs, and I'm able to have a pretty good experience without any of the dangerous resins associated with those herbs. I'm in Washington State, by the way. This is one of the videos we'll be playing tonight. We're going to kick that off. The dark side of Tesla's technology. Thank you, everybody, for coming in tonight. I realize that many of you don't agree with me, but I don't think Nancy did. No, I don't think Nancy passed away, did she? Let's go to news for Nancy. News for Nancy. She's still kicking. You know, I would imagine that Nancy would be here if she was joining me in heaven. But she's not here yet. She's still talking. Well, yeah, that's the news for Nancy. There couldn't possibly be a story other than that. There you go, guys. Great. Well, tomorrow is Truth Tuesday. None of the stories I've said is anything but cutting edge. Everything is absolute cutting edge tech stuff that we would normally not even get on the internet. But because we've got a lot of great link masters here that have done fabulous work to get us the best possible stuff, we have a very interactive platform which gives us good information sources and great little synopsis pictures here. How is it that you need a background check to own a gun but not to run a country? That's one of the most powerful images I think I could even put on the show. Thank you. Dimples loves living in Washington because he can vaporize or whatever he wants. Yeah. So I do carry the torch for legalization, whereas Donald doesn't, and neither does Hillary. That's a big factor in this election. And it's going to change the dimension of this election as time goes on. I actually just had a sneezing attack. I just got over a 2-day cold from hell. I do take chocolate, yes. Chocolate's a really good mental stimulant. If you have any kind of a downtime, that's why women like chocolate. It helps trigger endorphins in your head. Yeah. Donald Trump ought to protester. I'd like to punch him in the face, he says. So not only has he said that if he went into the street and shot somebody, killed somebody, his voters are so loyal that they would continue to vote for him. Now he's going after the protesters directly. It's kind of funny. But not funny in a funny way. It's sick funny. Like tragic funny. Like comedy tragedy kind of funny. All right. Thank you.
When a rewards card is designed to sync with your life, it gets talked
Somebody else, I won't mention, but they were nasty to me. They took $25 million in negative ads. Can you believe it? $25 million, one guy. $25 million, and then I'm supposed to say he's a nice person, right? And they were phony ads. Well, I have one going on now, Cruz. He's got an ad, something to do with I want to take away your land and I want to keep it in the federal government. And I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. It's an ad. It's a Cruz ad. It's a Cruz scam. I'll tell you, so the evangelicals didn't vote for him. You know why? Because they don't like liars. They're really smart people. They don't want to vote for a liar. But it is true. I have an ad running right now. It's a Cruz ad. Something to do with, and a couple of people told me this, that I am backing the federal government to keep the land that's currently owned by the federal government, and we should give that land to everybody and divvy it up or something. I'm saying to myself, well, it's not a subject I know anything about. It's a hell of an ad, but this is a Cruz ad. This guy is sick. There's something wrong with this guy.
The cookie cutter is a devious little device. It shows blatant disregard
Thank you for reminding me. I just had a sneezing attack. My dad got the Zika fever. It's the dengue fever. When he was at war, right at the end of his 3 tours of duty in World War II, he came down with dengue fever. And it was terrible. He said he nearly died. So whatever they've done to this virus, the Zika virus, is dangerous. And the fact that it's got links to Bill Gates and this genetically modified mosquito, it makes you wonder, are they really depopulating? And I'm convinced that they're trying to depopulate, folks. I'm convinced that they're trying to depopulate the American and the world population. They're trying to kill off as many people as they can. And I'll tell you why I believe that. Because they actually said they want to do that. Yeah, really. People like Bill Gates, eugenicists like Bill Gates, have often talked about the importance of depopulation. Many of you think that you want to depopulate, but you don't realize you're the ones they want to depopulate. They don't just want you to not have kids. They don't want you to be here. They'll create GMOs to kill you off slowly with tumor production like the ones in laboratory animals that consume GMOs. But people like Ted Turner have openly stated they want to get rid of 95% of the population. These are the wealthy people that have made money polluting the entire planet, killing off everything that we know and love that is dear to us. They're the ones willing to drop chemicals in the air with weather modification. Here's Ted Turner from a
We got to stabilize the population. When I was born,
So what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people. That's why we have global warming. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff.
But
if there were less people, they'd be using less stuff. We're altering the climate and the world in so many different ways. And what we're doing is reducing the Earth's carrying capacity so that each year the natural world gets poorer and less able to support the increasing number of people.
Well, the natural world is getting poorer because people like him are hoarding the money. That people like him are preventing distribution of food around the world. The natural world is getting sicker and poorer, and the earth is getting more polluted and destroyed because of people like him that exploit the very earth and profit from exploited labor. So instead of fixing the problems and distributing food better, instead of cleaning the water and the air, pulling carbon out of the air, these elitists have decided to just choke off the planet and pump more aerosol chemtrails in the atmosphere than you'd ever imagine, and push the envelope on the planet so that they can trigger exactly what they say we should fear is global climate change. They don't want to clean the planet. They're just literally polluting it like crazy. Let me show you this picture that I keep drawing back to because it's so compelling. It's a picture of chemtrails that Scissorfight grabbed off of a geocaching weather site. I don't care what you people think about chemtrails. They are officially going on. And the government is above board in many areas. They've even said that the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean are going to be nuclear, biological, and chemical testing zones. You just don't know about it because you haven't read the environmental impact statement from the Navy. But we've got chemis in the sky. Chemis in the sky. So take a look at this. This is a blanket chemtrail spray over the skies of... Let me get his mug out of there. Over the skies of South Australia. It happened a week ago, or about 2 weeks ago now. So they're literally dousing the sky with chemicals to create weather changes that they want to use to create everything from a drought in California, which they're using to justify their cap and trade legislation the Democrats are pushing, which is a entirely failed plan, has no proven basis in fact. And their projections are that they're going to reduce greenhouse gas by 17% by 2030. That's like putting a Band-Aid on a gushing wound while you're stabbing, while the person's getting stabbed. I wouldn't want to stab anything, but yeah, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a gushing wound and then seeing somebody getting stabbed. We're basically killing the environment, and they're not going to do anything to solve it. They want to engineer the destruction of the environment because they want 95% of the population gone. And they know they can replace the remainder of people with adequate robotic technology and automation that will completely eliminate their needs or wants or desires to exploit people like they did to attain all this wealth. So these monarchs of the past have rebranded themselves as the New World Order. These are the old families, the Venetian royalty, the black nobility, the European royalty that are so entrenched and powerful. They have trillions of dollars, and they'll be ready and willing to eliminate the people that they exploited to get to where they are. You think they care about you? No, this is not fear-mongering. This is called reality check. And if you don't recognize the reality check, what's happening? Thank you, Lion of Judah. And I will stop. I will end CPS, I promise you. I will phase out the TSA and bring on plainclothes military personnel that will act respectful, and we will completely retask the rapid scan devices to work strictly on luggage. These agencies that they work through, the Masonic chapters of the Freemasonry, they work through that, the base of the pyramid. They work through organizations like the Pilgrim Society, who, by the way, the president is Tim Geithner. The fact that Tim Geithner was the president of the Pilgrim Society, and which is a foreign group out of England, and a U.S. Secretary of Treasury, shows you that they didn't care about dual allegiances, which is a gross violation of our Constitution. They had the guy who's in charge of the very orchestrating the rules. He's the military arm of the Knights of Malta. The Knights of Malta and the Masons and the Pilgrim Society are all kind of joined at the hip. And they're using their power structure to control our destiny and buy off our politicians. So far right now, our country is being controlled by an elitist group of a handful of people that are bought off. We call them congressmen. And all the people behind the scenes are probably so shielded from your view that you have no idea who they are. But there are glimpses of who they are. We know that the Rothschild family literally controls the entire 160 banks around the world. Hey, somebody pulled up Barack Obama's actual Columbia University ID form. Barry Soetoro. There you go. Foreign student. That's a very important little thing right there, yeah. So we have a foreign student running our country right now. And I'm not going to blame you for voting for Obama. You actually believed he was speaking from his heart when all he was doing was reading off a teleprompter. I don't blame you for that. Our income tax is directly deposited into a Rothschild bank. Yeah, some of you are having a hard time with that. I can tell. I didn't want you to kind of freak out there. I don't know if it's true or not. I can't validate it. I just got it as a link. I'm not going to keep it on the screen. But I would do deep research. We're going to process Barack Obama for fraud, at the very least. I plan on going ahead and getting the Justice Department involved in a case against him for fraud. We'll also try to seek to invalidate everything he's signed based on that fraud claim. And we'll be able to nullify Obamacare in the process. Donald Trump doesn't really talk about Obamacare, does he? Or have you? Because he doesn't have any plans like I have with the mobile medical units and public doctors and a public option. All right, so I think we're there. We've finished that. We can now segue to the next stage of our show, which is to talk about Tesla and the future, or the dark side of Tesla's technology and how it's being manipulated to control, I assume, our weather and countless other things in our environment. Tesla, a genius of his time, gave away his patents to 5 separate countries, broken up, so he would prevent it from being misused. But we see now that somebody bought all those patents and put them all together in the form of HAARP, HAARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project. Not testicles. Tesla, yeah. The founder of a lot of electromagnetic patent technology. Had Tesla been able to beat J.P. Morgan in getting electricity delivered, we probably would have had no need for a copper cable. But J.P. Morgan got wind of Tesla's project to send electricity through the air. And we now know that it's completely possible. It now looks like NASA tried to change the image, really. Oh, okay. So here's the image that was originally taken from the original location. Thank you for that, Scissor Fight. And it does seem to have been altered. Yeah. It's like they broke it up to make it look more like clouds. It must have been photoshopped. It's such a compelling image. I'm glad you caught it when you did. Thank you very much. Well, my cold is settling back in my head, so I'm going to be signing off and playing the videos for you tonight. But thank you so much for coming in. It's been fun. Tomorrow is Truth Tuesday, and I'll be up and running at 5 o'clock. All right, guys. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you to the test.
Yeah, I can feel it filling up in my nose, so I'm going to say good night. Thank you. Every time, yeah, I hope I'll just get some nice warm rest watching Netflix. You guys chill and enjoy the show. Thank you, Abnormal. Thanks, everybody, for coming in. You guys are great. You got great input in the chat tonight. I think it was a very good chat show. Bye-bye.